Here comes Sasaki for the move on the inside against Valerio Gallo. Win grand final in World Series 1 for Lexus. Absolutely fantastic racing. So goes for the move on the outside. It's a drag to the line in the Manufacturers' Cup. Is it Medina and Ferrari? Is it Hector and Porsche? Medina has done it! The Gran Turismo World Series in Montreal, they will take their second victory of the season as Kanata Kawakami wins for Lexus in Gran Turismo World Series 3 here in Tokyo in the Manufacturers' Cup.
Hello and welcome to the Gran Turismo World Series, coming to you live from Amsterdam! It is now time for the Manufacturers' Cup. I do hope you're ready.
Absolutely, we've got 12 teams, 36 drivers, but of course only one can be crowned as our world champion here tonight.
Yeah, our top 3 teams currently separated by only 5 points, but it's double points on offer for tonight, so anything can go.
It's going to be great. Let's see how that competition format is going to break down. The Manufacturers' Cup features 12 teams of 3 drivers. These teams were selected from the 2024 online series ranking. Each team consists of 1 driver from each of the 3 global regions: Americas, EMEA, and Asia-Oceania. Region representatives raced individually in each of the previous rounds. But now, all 3 will compete together for the first time. Qualifying uses a knockout format across 3 sessions to set the grid order for the grand final race. In the first 2 sessions, the 3 slowest drivers are eliminated and fill the back of the grid. The final session decides the top 6 grid order. In the grand final, all 3 teammates will drive and battle for World Series points. The top 10 teams will score points, which are added to the points from rounds 1 to 3 to decide the final standings. The 2024 Manufacturers' Cup World Champions will be crowned.
Well, so good to be here in Amsterdam for the Gran Turismo World Series World Finals in 2024. JB, I cannot wait to see what's going to happen in the Manufacturers' Cup.
Yeah, man, this year has just gone by so quickly. But, of course, big story for us is Team Lexus, the one to watch in this series so far. A current points leader, but as we said, top of the show, double points today, so anything goes, really.
Yeah, anyone could literally win it.
Yeah, literally anyone.
All out, fair and, you know, in love and war and all that sort of stuff. And, of course, it's not only the competitors here that have got a chance to take victory here tonight and win some things. You've got a chance to take a victory and win some things as well with our campaigns that we're running on GT7. Just a little precursor, we know that there are some issues going on in the game at the moment, and you have got until the 16th of December to claim the prizes here tonight. But have a look at this and see what we've got on offer for you.
Dive into the action from inside Gran Turismo 7 with the World Series bonus campaign. Watch the World Series broadcast in your GT7 game to unlock free in-game rewards. Watch the Manufacturers' Cup and you'll receive the winning car driven by the Manufacturers' Cup World Champions. Don't miss your chance. Tune in and claim your new ride. This holiday season, GT7 is bringing something very special just for you. 2 exclusive holiday campaigns will run from December 15th to January 5th, offering a variety of festive in-game rewards, simply for logging in. Don't miss this limited time event. It's our way of celebrating the holidays with you.
Well, there we are. That's the campaign that's ongoing in GT7 at the moment. As we said, you've got until the 16th of December to claim your prizes. For that one, Jimmy, I'm really, really looking forward to seeing what is going to happen here tonight. But of course, not only do we have the racing here, we've also got the press conference taking place afterwards. And that's the audience's chance to ask a few questions. So if you're watching at home, you can get involved. Comment in the chat below and tell us what questions you want to ask the drivers who end up on the podiums here tonight.
Maybe interested in how Tom Brooks gets his hair like that. You can ask that in chat and get a nice big exclamation afterwards.
That's a toply guarded secret. If you want to ask how he ends up doing that, that's not a toply guarded secret. Anyway, let's go back to the Manufacturers' Cup. Lexus, of course, top of the pile, top of the class, A+ and all of that sort of stuff when it comes to the point standings. If you look at their results, a win in Montreal, they were 6th in Prague and we thought, okay, but they still managed to get a point on the board. And then in Tokyo, they went and won it again. Yeah, very, very strong showing from Team Lexus. But of course, there's a big asterisk there because you might, if you're familiar with Team Lexus, you'll know that they're missing Igor Fraga, currently busy with real racing obligations. So he's been replaced by Harold Volson from Chile. Very, very quick driver in his own right, but maybe not quite up to speed with the rest of the team. Here are the current standings as they are right now. Lexus leading by 4 points from Porsche and BMW on 8. Mazda 4th, Honda 5th, and Ferrari, of course, winners in Prague, down in 6th. But as we said, double points today, and literally any team can come back from where they are if they have the right sort of race. Here's our lovely venue here at the Theatre Amsterdam. Lots of cars outside that I'm not allowed to touch, unfortunately. Very sad. We have tried. We have tried. You know, I said earlier on in the GRGT Cup, I did manage to get the keys for a couple, but they wouldn't let me take them for a spin. It was nice to get inside and have a little sniff. You know, that new car smell.
Certified sniffer.
Out of context for all Ben. Anyway, let's have a look, shall we, at the circuit the driver's going to be competing on, because, of course, it's a circuit that needs no introduction, really, but we'll give it one anyway. The shortest name, but the biggest challenge, Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps here is where we're going to be competing in the qualifying session and also in the racing conditions as well. Jimmy, we've got an interesting qualifier plan coming up for this one because it's a little bit different to what we would normally run.
Yeah, you're used to seeing sort of just long qualifying sessions. However, this time we have 3 different qualifying sessions with teams being knocked out in each session until we get to our last 6 fighting for Super Pole. It's going to be amazing. I'm a big fan of this format. It appears in other forms of motorsport as well. We thought we might try it, see what it's like, but should be a lot of fun.
So, in terms of qualifying, obviously the drivers have now got to elect one of their 3 drivers to go into Q1. Hopefully they'll go into Q2 and change drivers. Hopefully they'll go into Q3 and they'll get to use all 3. But only the top 9 teams from Q1 will go through. So, it's a bit of a difficult one because, you know, do you wait and throw your quick qualifying driver in last in the hope that they'll get into Q3? But of course, if they're not quick enough, you might not get there in the first place.
Yeah, it's definitely one for our teams to think about. And here are those teams, of course, on screen right now. Lexus, BMW, Porsche and Mazda. Wide range of talent there. I mean, we have former Nations Cup champions, former Manufacturers champions as well, former Toyota, well, we've got the now current Toyota Gazoo Racing GT Cup champion, Jose Serrano there as well. Super strong field.
Well, those are the drivers. They are primed and ready to go. Let's get ready to get qualifying underway then, shall we, here for the Manufacturers' Cup.
So here we are then qualifying for the World Finals here at Amsterdam. Q1 out there, so all teams out on the circuit right now, all in the hard compound attire, and you can see the elected driver there on the right-hand side of your screen. We currently watch Team Subaru with Angel Inestrosa, of course, a veteran of the GT World Series events, incredibly fast driver, but never really seems to find himself on the top step for some reason or another. It just seems never things go entirely his way. Team Genesis there as well with Sasaki as well. Genesis, of course, also been very strong in the past, but not been their season so far.
No, they were very quick last year, if you remember. Ended up on the podium in the World Finals when we were in Barcelona. So there was a good possibility for them to capitalise on that here. But yeah, as you say, it's not been a particularly brilliant season. Likewise for Team Porsche as well. They've got Artem Mosso, the Brazilian driver, at the helm for this one here in Q1. As you can see, not a particularly long qualifying session here for the drivers. So they'll get one sort of stab at it, really. And just a reminder, the top 9 teams are the ones that go through from 10th downwards. They will not progress forwards from Q1.
Yeah, so we are seeing now, of course, the first hot laps. We've had the out lap already. Hot laps coming up now. As Team Lexus, of course, Harold Volson is stepping in for Igor Fragel. What big shoes for him to fill.
Yeah.
I mean, he must have some pressure there, of course, and he's been elected to go fast on this hard tyre. But it does give an interesting question, Tom. Do you, as you say, maybe put out someone slower for that hard compounder tyre? Maybe not your best qualifying driver, but then if you're out in the first session, then you completely lose that chance to be in the Super Bowl. First lap's coming in then. Subaru and Genesis going quicker at the moment. Mazda P3 provisionally. And Porsche going up into P2. It'll be interesting to see what the sort of the first bites of the cherry look like for all these teams.
Yeah, Chevrolet going up into 5th place, BMW putting a banker in at 2:17.5, so that's not bad at all. They will get one more bite at the cherry of these lap times. So they've sort of set their banker lap times. Now they get one more go at it. Ferrari going to the top of the pile. Who's behind the Ferrari at the moment? It's Jun Hashima, the Japanese driver. We know that Ferrari are quick. We saw them win in difficult conditions at Prague, if you remember, with Mohamed Badima. He's behind the helm a little bit later on here tonight, of course, providing that Ferrari do progress forward. Honda going across the timeline in 7th place, and Audi also setting their first banker lap time down in 12th as well.
Yeah, so right now, Team Ferrari, of course, the winners out in Prague, Mohamed Badima at the wheel there. What a job he did back there. Right now, of course, not driving, sorry, I should say that, but he is part of that team, the winning team from Prague. Currently fastest, here's Team Subaru. How do they match up through the next sector? We're going to have to wait and see about 40 more seconds through there. Traditionally, this Subaru has been pretty quick in the middle and then pretty rubbish everywhere else. But Spa is like that. You can set up the car to be quick in the middle sector and still make a good lap time. But for a race, it's not quite really what you want, is it?
That's it. You've got to be very careful about how you set your car up here. You want to make sure it's quick in the twisty bits and ideally fast in a straight line, but there's got to be a compromise somewhere in the middle of all of that, haven't they? Ferrari looking pretty good. In terms of the sector times, you've got to keep an eye and see what Subaru are doing here in this middle sector. Through the Fagnes chicane we go in towards Stavelo 1 and Stavelo 2, or Paul Freire as it's now known, and a couple of tenths of a second down there, Subaru, but Chevrolet on a bit of a charge at the moment. Yuki Goto behind the wheel of that car, and he's looking pretty handy to try and depose the Italian manufacturer at the top at the moment.
Yep, we'll see. Last sector's coming in. Chevy, 2 tenths down as well. But it's all about that drag now up through Stavelo 1 and 2 and up towards Blanchimont. Very, very quick part of the circuit where a little bit of downforce does help through there. It's flat out left-handed and into the bus stop at the end of that. Ferrari not able to improve in the middle sector so far. We're having our first cars cross the line to finish their second flying lap. Who is going to improve? Who's going to stay where they are? So first cars cross the line. Subaru do improve up to P5 for now. Genesis do not, however, still in P2. What can Chevrolet do? Will they go faster? Coming to the start-finish line now. Genesis P2, Porsche third at the moment. Corvette does go a bit quicker. That Corvette into P7. BMW, although a weak session than they would have liked for their Ferrari, are bolted. Can they improve from where they were before? Come to the start-finish line. They don't improve, but they are currently our provisional pole for Ferrari.
So Mazda are out at the moment. AMG and Audi with it all to do. Honda on the bubble here as well if they improve. Let's see what happens as we come to the timing line. Mercedes, it's 9th place. They knock out Honda from Q1 then. Over the timing line come Honda. Can they get themselves back in? They can. So Mercedes do go out. What about Audi? It's only 11th fastest.
Oh, no.
That's a disaster for Audi then. So, drama in the opening stages of Q1. The top 9 teams progress forward. We say goodbye to Mercedes AMG, to Audi and to Mazda.
That's what all this session's all about. It just takes one little mistake and just like that you're out of the first qualifying. You wouldn't go no further. So 9 more manufacturers go through into Q2 and then we'll whittle that down to 6 for our one-lap shootout to decide pole position. Currently fastest teams being Ferrari, but it means nothing going forward. All about that next session now.
Yeah, certainly is. So a case of regrouping, essentially, going into the next qualifying session. Of course, new driver behind the wheel of the cars. So just because one team has been quick in Q1 doesn't necessarily mean they'll be able to repeat that in Q2. What we should expect, though, lap times will get faster in Q2. We go on to the medium compounder tyre, so lap times will go down. But it depends if they've got a driver that can extract the maximum from it. Let's go back to Q1, though. Have a look at some highlights then from this session. The back lap times came in with just under 2 minutes left of this one. Drivers got 2 minutes, 2 flying laps essentially in this session. It was Ferrari, as we know, who set the initial pace.
Yeah, a great first lap there from Ferrari. In the end, that's all they really needed. They did chase the lap. They were able to be consistent, but it didn't quite matter. Ferrari setting the initial pace in this qualifying session. And that'll be one for the other teams to watch. So, no, right, okay, this car is one to look out for. Well, he doesn't look very happy, does he?
No, he doesn't. It doesn't often show his emotion too much, but you can see that the Japanese driver did end up on top ahead of Sasaki. Automoto there for Porsche in third place. Good lap time for him. Good for Harold Valson as well. Just a tenth of a second shy, given the fact that he's not had as much seat time as I'm sure he would like in that car. Fourth quickest, not bad at all.
Yeah, we were saying big shoes to fill, and I think that Igor Fraga would have been proud of that effort there from Volson. They go on into Q2. Of course, our losers from that session, AMG, Audi and Mazda. Fenton, Penco and Heck, unfortunately unable to squeeze into Q2.
Tight margins though, half a second separating 12 drivers. And what's the difference there between making it through to Q2 and Q3? What's that? 7 thousandths of a second? Something like that. Yeah, that was very quick maths for me.
Good job.
It's not my favourite. Anyway, yeah, really impressive for Honda to just sneak their way in there at the end and depose AMG. But yeah, as we say, very, very tight margins.
Yeah, I mean, poor Daniel Fenton. But now we go into Q2.
So then, ready to go for Q2 in a few moments' time. Looking forward to seeing what the drivers are going to be able to do. And you can see some fans of Takuma Miyazono in the in the audience here, rather, as we stand in the commentary box waiting for Q2. There is Kylian Drumont. He will be out for Team Subaru in a few moments' time. Other drivers ready to take to the helm as well on these racing medium tyres. Looking forward to seeing what is going to happen in this session as well. And now the preparation gets underway ahead of this second qualifying session. The same duration, 6 minutes for this one. And again, bottom 3 teams from this session, so the top 3, sorry, the bottom 3 rather, I should say, from 6th down to 9th will not go forwards into Q3. And then it will be a Super Pole shootout, as it were, as we head into that final session. And that final session, Jimmy, it's a one-lap attack, so it's even more on the line.
Yeah, that's when you really need your good qualifying driver in for that. You see our Dutch audience there, the crowd. Give us a wave, guys. Good to have you all here live watching this awesome manufacturers final here. Q2 coming up very shortly. Karatza in the car there, so we know who he's driving for that. Who is Karatza with? You remind me, Tom.
He's with Toyota.
There you go. I should know that, shouldn't I? But that's what you're for. You're the stat man.
Thank you.
I'm the looks, you know.
Let's have a look at the points rankings just to remind you of what it looks like going into this one. So after 3 World Series events, Lexus at the top of the pile there by 4 points over Team Porsche. BMW just 1 point ahead of them. Subsequently, Mazda and Honda and Ferrari a couple of points back respectively there as well. It's all to play for, but 24 points are on offer going into these grand finals, Jimmy, here tonight. It's only one race as well, so there is a lot of things up for grabs, essentially, aren't there?
Yeah, chunky points up for grabs today. But I'm pleased to say we are actually joined by a special guest. I can't get away from this, guys. Guys, it's Steve Brown, Super GT. Welcome. Welcome back.
Really good to be back. Hello, Tom.
How are you, mate?
Yeah, really good.
Good stuff.
Yeah, just amazing to be back here in Amsterdam for the Gran Turismo World Finals. Always an amazing event.
Sounding a little bit groggy. Have you been doing like some Amsterdam karaoke or something like that?
My voice is just going just in time for this commentary, just at the right time. But no, I'm looking forward to this event, and yeah, this qualifying should be really good.
Obviously, you play GT7 a lot at home, and if you haven't watched Super GT's videos, go and do it, by the way.
Unsubscribe from Super GT.
The race to 1 million subscribers is very much tense and real, by the way. Yeah, looking forward to seeing what is going to happen for this one. What do you think the drivers are going to be thinking about at this particular point, all the pressure on them for this session?
Yeah, I mean, these guys have done this enough. I think once you get into that session, they're going to hunker down, they're going to be focused. They almost forget that they're here in this grand arena with hundreds of people watching and thousands of people watching live. And, you know, they know what to do. They've done so many laps, they're just going to churn out those laps.
Let's have a look at this lineup then going into Q2. So Mohamed Badima will be behind the wheel of Ferrari, who, let's not forget, were quickest in Q1 a few moments ago. Nico Romero heads the charge for Genesis. Benjamin Hengse, who finished second for Porsche in World Series 2, he'll be behind the wheel. And then also Kanata Kawakami for Lexus. You can see Thomas Labusle in there as well. Androna Karatza, Kylian Drumont, Donovan Parker, and Shoa Nebatane as well. Let's get Q2 then underway. back on track here at the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. We go from the racing hard to the racing medium compound of tyres. We look here at Adriano Carrazza, who is behind the wheel of the Toyota at the moment. Benjamin Hengsay as well, also behind the wheel of the Tag Heuer, of the Porsche, I should say, rather, there as well.
Old habits, mate.
Yeah, I knew that was going to come in at some point. So, racing medium tyres, Steve, what's the difference between a hard and medium tyre for those who are just tuning into GT for the first time?
Yeah, these tyres will be about half a second quicker than the hards we saw in the previous session. You can just go a bit harder on the brakes into the corners, you just carry a bit more speed through the corners, and you'll just get that much more traction on the way out as well. So pretty much every stage of every corner is just going to be that tiny bit of difference. So totaling maybe, yeah, half a second per lap.
Now, we see a lot of familiar names. Have you raced against any of these guys? Have you been toe-to-toe?
I mean, for one corner maybe, but they usually clear off quite quickly. Kilian Drummond there in the Subaru, he's someone I rate very highly, and I actually picked Subaru as my vote to win.
Oh, really?
So I'm really rooting for him to go through here.
Absolute bias in the commentary booth. You'd love to see that. But yeah, Kilian Drummond, we know he's a very, very quick guy. We know he has the ability to put out a lap time, when he needs to. So this is it. So we're going to get our first flying laps coming in now. Subaru will be the first team to set a time. How much quicker will it be than earlier on? Let's find out.
Yeah, that's it. Racing medium tyres, which have for the drivers to be contending with at the moment. Toyota ready to come through across the timeline. Porsche won't be far away there either for setting their first representative time, 2:16.6. That's not too bad there for some of the drivers, but they'll be hoping for more improvements in their second and final flying laps here in this session. BMW currently top of the class.
It's about a second. Yeah, that's what we said. It's about a second. It's what the difference has been so far. With these tyres, I mean, do they take a little while to come on, these tyres, Steve, or do they on straight away?
I think by the time they've started their flying lap, they're going to be up to temperature. And, at that point, it's just, let's just get that lap out. And these guys, again, they know what they're doing. They've probably lapped Spa thousands of times. So it's about, putting down that perfect lap.
So BMW top of the pile then. Lexus have just slotted themselves up into second. You see Chevrolet had their lap time disallowed. That red dot on the left-hand side of your screen indicates that they must have exceeded track limits. Who's behind the wheel of the Chevrolet? Donovan Parker at the moment. So he'll have to go again on his final flying lap in this session. Otherwise, Chevy will not be going through.
Yeah, of course. Bottom three will be knocked out here. So far, that's Toyota, Ferrari and Chevrolet. Top six go through to the pole shootout. Porsche here, P3. Of course, in a good spot in the standings right now, P2 at the moment. So looking to try and solidify their result so they can get into Q3.
Quite congested, though, isn't it, in this middle section of the lap? Cars following each other really closely. That's great in a straight line, but when you're going through here, though these cars don't produce as much dirty air as a single-seater, you are still going to get that effect.
I mean, how far back would you say, Steve, when you start getting some interference? Is it like a second or so, you think? Or?
Yeah, certainly within a second. Maybe if you're within half a second, then for sure. But overall on the lap, maybe you're going to start gaining through Sector 3 and Sector 1 with the long straights here, so it could balance out.
See the understeer there for Hengsay going through the second part of the Fania chicane as well. He's just scrubbing the front tyres, trying to find the grip. Checker flag is now out then, so the session will be concluded at the end of these final flying laps. BMW currently leading with Thomas Laboutelet at the wheel of that car, and he's improving in this second and final flyer as well. What about Subaru? They're currently third quickest. They're safe for the moment, but if all the other drivers behind have belters of final flying laps, they could be under a bit of pressure. At the moment, we're saying goodbye to Toyota, Ferrari, and of course Chevrolet, who did not set a lap time, but through the bus stop we go. Out of the final corner here for Kilian Drummond. If there's a man that can get the performance out of the car, it's going to be Kilian as he comes to the line. He doesn't improve, though. Stays third quickest. Toyota do, and go up to second.
The Genesis across the line now. Can they improve into P6? They're in a danger zone right now. Here comes BMW, our pole sitter. They go even faster. The first car into the 2:15 range. Can Team Honda get out of that drop zone? They can up to P5.
Yeah, they were looking good in that third sector, just a couple of tenths back, and they managed to hold that advantage. What about Chevrolet? They need a good lap time here, and it's not a good one. It's slowest of the lot. What about Medina for Ferrari? 8th quickest, and stays 8th. Ferrari fastest in Q1, out in Q2. Lexus improve up to second as well. So we say goodbye to Genesis, to Ferrari, and to Chevrolet at the end of Q2. What a contrast in fortunes, Jimmy.
Well, the Steve Brown Subaru dream is still on for now, it seems. What are your thoughts on that one, Steve? Any surprises for you?
Well, I thought Genesis would be a bit stronger than that. I was hoping that they would go through. But Thomas Laboutelet, he is so impressive in that BMW. I always try and chase his times when I'm racing online, but he is just way too quick.
Yeah, so good lap times there from Thomas Labousselet, Adriano Corazza for Toyota, Kanata Kawakami for Lexus, and also likewise Kylian Drumont as well for Subaru. Genesis and Nico Romero, as well as Badima and Ferrari, Donovan Parker and Chevrolet, they'll be left wondering what might have been. Do you think the fact that Parker had his first lap time disallowed due to exceeding track limits would have just put him on the back foot knowing he only had one flyer, and therefore he must have made a mistake because he was like 3 seconds off?
I think so. I think it does put the pressure on when everyone sets their first lap. You look at the leaderboard and you know immediately you're under pressure and you have to deliver on your second lap. So definitely, for sure, I think he would have been looking at the leaderboard, and it does make it tougher the second time around.
Yeah, frustrating for Team Chevrolet, I think, but it's one of those things. As here are the results then. So confirmed, Thomas Labousselet quickest in Q2 for Team BMW, the only driver to do a 2:15. Then Kawakami for Lexus, Corazza for Toyota, Drumont for Subaru, Nabatani for Honda, and Hensei for Team Porsche. And we say goodbye to Genesis, Ferrari, and Chevrolet as we get ready to go into qualifying 3.
Yep, and Q3, a single lap affair for the driver, so only one bite at the cherry for this one. Onto the soft tyres, onto their third driver as well, so a change around in fortunes. But first, before we get that one underway, let's go down to Jules, who is catching up with Labousselet from BMW.
Yeah, Thomas, how was that?
Yeah, I felt good, just like home, so had a good feeling, first of all, and then managed to put 2 good laps, so good consistency as well.
Yeah, and you feel good because obviously, you know, you're coming back. I mean, these are the top competitors. Do you feel the pressure? I mean, technically, the pressure's off of you now, and it's onto your teammate. How do you feel? Do you think he's going to do well?
I've got good confidence. Anyway, we're in the top 6, in a good spot anyway, so now it's all about being in a good spot before the rain hits. So.
Yeah. Any last words of advice to your teammate?
No pressure, but we're used to it, so yeah.
No pressure, but like a little bit of pressure?
Well, we have to perform, so it's to be expected.
All right, well, look, you've done your part. Go sit down, try and relax, and yeah, we'll see you soon. All right, up to you, Tom and Jimmy.
Well, he's a man of few words, is Thomas Labousselet. Don't forget, of course, the Nations Cup World Finals coming along the way here tomorrow evening in Amsterdam. We are so looking forward to that because, of course, it's the final one of 2024. This year has absolutely flown by. And though the drivers love the Manufacturers' Cup and the team element to it, the gloves do come off when it gets to Nations, doesn't it?
Yeah, everyone just gets very violent. That's part of the fun here. I mean, we have some of the best drivers in the world here in Amsterdam, and that's where they get to sort of strut their stuff. That's the one for bragging rights, definitely.
So, Steve, we're going into Q3 in a few minutes' time. What can the drivers do for this one? Because, again, only one flying lap. We saw what happened to Chevrolet. They made a mess of their first one, and they couldn't improve on their second one.
Yeah, I mean, just having that one lap, there's so much pressure on this. I can't quite describe like what the pressure is like, but I think it's a case of these guys, they know what to do. They just need to make sure they get in the zone, get in that flow state, just make sure they're not distracted by anything. And
we change over also here, JB, to the racing soft tyre, so a lot more grip for these drivers now as well.
Yeah, you can fire this tyre up super easy as well. Half a lap and that tyre will be warm enough. Here are your last drivers going out for, so it's Suzuki for BMW, Lopez for Lexus, Serrano, our newly crowned Toyota GT Cup champion, Miyazono for Subaru, Gallo for Honda, and Sasaki for Porsche as well. So, I mean, you say you're a bit of a Subaru guy there. Is that your preferred car of choice when taken to the circuit, or do you have another different style that you prefer?
It's a tough one because I think the Subaru is really good in Sector 2, where the corners are. But I think there's definitely stronger cars on the straights. But for the race, they're going to want to be at the front. If they don't have that top end, overtaking might be tricky. So I think Subaru, they really need to try and deliver here.
Yeah, we're keen to see what Subaru are going to be able to do. We saw Kylian Drumont putting in a good performance. Behind the wheel of that Subaru will be Takuma Miyazono. He knows a thing or two about how to win a title. Let's not forget, he did the Triple Crown back in 2020, didn't he?
Yeah, I remember trying to beat one of his times once. I was like, it was, what a horrific moment that was for me personally. Ego in the bin. But yeah, very quick guy in that Subaru, near enough unstoppable.
So what can the teams learn, Steve, going into Q3? Obviously, we've had these 2 sessions. The drivers that are going out in the subsequent ones would have been watching on. How are they going to apply that to their session now?
I think the important thing is the tyres. Like, how does each tyre perform and how quick is it compared to the other tyres? And just, I think the thing they're working out is how long to spend on each tyre. Strategy is obviously really important in the manufacturer's final, so that's that's going to be what they're working out there.
Well, there is Takuma Miyazono, a bit of a long hair style that he's got going on. I have to say, I dig it. I think it's working quite nicely for him.
Maybe we shouldn't be giving out hair advice.
No, well, you certainly shouldn't. Have you seen that?
What are you talking about?
Anyway, let's get ready then to get Q3 underway, shall we, here for the Gran Turismo Manufacturers' Cup. then over to Q3. One flying lap for all of the teams and the drivers in this one. 6 of them ready to go out. Takuma Sasaki is the driver who will take the first bite of the cherry on the racing soft tyres. He comes across the line here, Jimmy. He wants to make a good run through La Source on the exit of that, because if he doesn't, then he'll be carrying that all the way up to Lake Coombe.
Yeah, definitely. So Sasaki's under a bit of a unique sort of pressure here, because whereas the other drivers have all been sort of mixed on circuit at once, he is there on his own, being watched by the entire audience. All eyes on him currently as we go through Eau Rouge and Radion. Is there any hint of a lift there? No, not at all. Completely flat over the top there. And now up the long drive up to Kemmel Straight, which will try and break near to this curb on the left-hand side here. But, I mean, for me, Spa's never been a track I've done particularly well at, if I'm honest. So maybe I should be giving tips out of it.
It looks okay under braking in towards Lake Coombe then, through the right and then the left. Bit tricky going through there. See a couple of bites of the cherries. He just tries to get the power on a little bit early there. Down through in towards turn 8, and be keen to see what the relative sector times are going to be for the other drivers here once Takuma Sasaki has set his flying lap time.
I mean, you see, if you've driven this Porsche, I assume you've driven the NSX as well. I mean, over the front engine cars, what sort of differences would you say there are?
Yeah, for sure. They definitely handle differently, MR or rear-wheel drive. So I think it's just about the grip through the middle sector. That's the key sector on this track. All of the corners pretty much in that one sector. And you know, that's where they've got to really do the work. That's where the most work is done, where the most corners are.
Well, no need to worry about traffic in this session like we had in Q1 and Q2. Drivers all on their own, nothing really in front or ahead of them. Of course, they are all out on the track at the same time, but again, they will only get these flying laps to come through in this session. So through into Lake Coombe we go here for Takuma Miyazono. As Steve said, really handy this car in the middle sector in the technical parts of the track, but in a straight line, it's its Achilles heel. It just doesn't have the legs compared to some of the other machines.
This is where Miyazono, as again Steve said, has got to do the work. He's got to really push through this middle sector. So we're going to see a full-out attack here, I'm sure, from Takuma Miyazono. Meanwhile, our first lap time coming in from Team Porsche. Now, we saw 2:59 as the fastest time on the mediums. What can Porsche do? Coming to the start of time, bit of a moment on the exit. That will cost him a tenth or two. Comes to the line. It's a 2:15 dead there from Team Porsche. So a nice lap from Sasaki, but will that be enough?
What do you reckon, Steve? Is that good?
It's about a second quicker than the BMW managed in the last session, so that's in the ballpark. But I'm expecting some quicker times. The sectors are looking good for the other drivers here.
Yeah, Honda and Valerio Gallo, he was a couple of tenths quicker in that middle sector, and we saw Porsche and Sasaki making that mistake out of the final corner. So if Gallo can hold the time that he has gained in that second sector through the third one and across the line, he will go to the top of the class, and he does, a 2:14.870. So Valerio Gallo putting Honda now on provisional pole position, but of course still another few lap times left to run.
I mean, Gallo is a weapon in that Honda. He's been a Honda boy for a long time, and it shows. He has that speed. Now here's Takuma Miyazono. Steve's a bit quiet next to me now as he looks at the lap time. It's been a strong middle sector from Miyazono, as we predicted, the fastest of anyone through sector 2. But can he carry that? Does the car have the speed it takes to the line? It's a good last corner. It's going to be close.
It's not enough.
It's not close, actually. It's a mid-15. Lost it all in the last sector there.
Yeah, the straight line speed of that car, Steve, coming into its Achilles heel, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, in fact, he actually lost half a second in the first sector, so perhaps a bad exit out of the La Source hairpin.
Second group of drivers then ready to come across the timing line. So now Toyota on their one and only flying lap. Jose Serrano, if you haven't watched the Toyota GR-GC Cup, then cover your ears now, because he was crowned as the reigning champion of that a few hours ago. And now he's behind the wheel of another Toyota, the GR Supra Racing concept machine. We know that this car is pretty handy and has the ability to be crowned as a Manufacturers' Cup champion car. It won it a couple of years ago, I think back in 2021, if my memory serves me correctly. Jose Serrano will be trying to do the business, though, here in qualifying and get this one onto pole position.
Would you say, Steve, the Toyota is more of a sort of an all-rounder compared to some of the other cars, or?
Yeah, I think so. Traditionally, the Toyota Supra's been really quick in a straight line, so again, sector 1 and 3. But I've got to say, Jose Serrano, I mean, like all these players, absolutely incredible at this game. It's just ridiculous how good they are, and like how little chance you have of keeping up with them.
I think sometimes the context is lost, because of course you watch them all drive together, but you say, like, if you were to go against these guys now, I mean, how far off roughly would you? I mean, you're quick in GT, but how far do you reckon you'd be off?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be struggling to keep within a second of these guys per lap, and last year's Pro-Am race I was within a second of him, and I was pretty happy with that. So that just shows you how kind of good these guys are.
So going through into Pouhon we go then with Jose Serrano managing to maximise the potential of that car through there. What's it look like in terms of the sector times? It's all right, but it's nothing really to particularly write home about through that first sector, or indeed the second sector. It's looking handy enough, but I don't know if it'll be enough to depose Valerio Gallo, who put in what looks like a stonking time in that Honda NSX. The mid-engine car just maybe rotating its way around the technical middle sector of this lap, and you can see there that Serrano nearly 3.5 tenths off. I mean, he's not going to be able to gain that surely in the last sector of this lap here, Jimmy.
We'll see. As Steve was saying, this thing's a bit of a rocket on the straight, so we'll see if he can gain that back. It's uphill here. It doesn't look too uphill, but it is. We come towards Blanche, wants a flat-out left-hander, use all the track there, try and minimise tyre scrub, then spot your braking on the left-hand side. Both feet on that brake pedal, maximum braking potential to come into the bus stop. Try and roll the car through the left and through the right. A little bit deep on the first part from my point of view anyway. Comes to the start-finish line. What can Toyota and Serrano do? Third place.
Yeah, not good enough then for Jose Serrano and for Lexus. Second row of the grid will be the best that they can hope for. Coque Lopez looked pretty good in the first sector. We'll see what the time on the board is going to be for the second sector. We know that Lexus have got the pace. We've seen that. They've won the Manufacturers' Cup twice in 2024. Can Coque Lopez give them the best shot at retaining their crown for, what is it, the third time, quite possibly, in the Manufacturers' Cup? We'll wait and see what the score on the door is going to be through this middle sector. A bit of a wobble there on the exit of Stavolo 1, and 0.2 of a second adrift coming out of Stavolo 2.
Yeah, only a couple of attempts down there, but now again the long drag up the hill, and this is where that small mistake out of Stavolo 2 might have actually cost him up here. I mean, you just carry the mistake. We say it a lot. You make a mistake, you carry it into the next braking zone. You see all our crowd and other drivers watching on. Well, all they can do is watch now.
Yeah, certainly can. On the brakes we go, in towards the bus shop. Hook that one up a little bit nicer than Miyazono in the Subaru earlier on, and also Jose Serrano in the Toyota as well. Lexus comes to the line with Coque Lopez. Where is it? It's third quickest. Deposes Toyota down into fourth place, so only one driver left to run, and it's Saya Suzuki in the BMW then, as he gets ready to begin his flying lap. The last one of it in this session. We come across the timing line down in towards La Source. On the brakes we go. Again, you want to get a good run through here, as we've said. Not too bad on the exit. That sausage curve on the outside, that'll bite you if you light up the tyres on there, won't it, Steve?
Yeah, it's not too bad. You definitely don't want to go beyond it onto the AstroTurf. That'll completely kill your momentum all the way up this hill.
So BMW then makes its way through Eau Rouge, through Radion, and now we just wait, basically. Yeah. This is a nice part of a lap if you're a driver. You can really just contemplate your thoughts. Oh, what am I going to have for dinner tonight? I wonder. Oh, there's a braking zone up here. I better focus on that. Let's see if Suzuki gets the braking zone right. Just at the end of the curb, goes onto the curb to open up the corner even more, but a couple of stabs at the throttle there. Not the fastest way around the corner, I don't think.
Yeah, he was looking okay, though, in that first sector. If he can carry that momentum through. Turn 7 looks all right. A little bit wide, maybe, on the exit. Down into turn 8, the car just wants to understeer continuously through this corner. Such is the way that it's cambered. But this middle sector is, as we know, where this lap can really be won or lost.
What would you say the characteristics of the BMW are, Steve? I've seen drive it a few times before. Is it on the understeery side?
Yeah, I would say so. It's definitely one of those cars. It's quite a big car, as we know. It's quite clunky through the faster corners, as we go through now. Pouhon, very fast corner, left-hander, double left-hander, and he's actually got the fastest. It's near enough the fastest first sector there, but it's through this sector which is going to be totally crucial.
Fastest middle sector at the moment, a 1 minute flat 7.92. So we'll keep an eye out and see what this is going to be here for Saya Suzuki. Can he rocket BMW on to pole position here ahead of the grand final? On the brakes we go into Stavolo 1. This is where you can make a bit of a mistake, and again a little bit of a slip and a slide, and it's just 0.25 of a second down. That's not impassable.
It is. It's not bad. It's not bad at all. So now up the hill, really only one more braking zone to get right here as we go up towards the bus stop. Suzuki very, very strong so far. Come up towards Blanchimont, through the left-hander, nice and easy. And now look for that braking zone. Crucial to get this right. So easy to overdo the braking, go wide, go off into the marbles. But it's nice and neat and tidy so far for Suzuki. Also, best is there. Comes across the start-finish line sideways, dragged to the line now for BMW. Is it going to be pole position? No, it's P2 on a 25 flat, and Honda are our pole position winners. Fantastic. Well done, Valerio Gallo.
What a superb lap time then from the Italian, and the team immediately comes to congratulate him. Matteo Estevez and Troy Nebertani, the drivers who are competing with him as part of Team Honda, and they will have a clear view down towards the first corner when they line up on the start-finish grid. Steve, as we mentioned earlier on, there was so much pressure for the drivers going into that session, but Gallo just seemed unfazed.
Gallo is so good in that Honda. He's, as Jimmy says, he's been in the Honda for many years now. He knows that thing inside out, and he's just the master of the rotation. He's got a really good rotation in that car, especially for the middle sector, and he just knows how to drive it.
Let's have a look at some highlights then from Q3 here at Spa-Francorchamps. One lap time attack for the drivers. We split them into essentially 2 groups of 3. This was Porsche's first representative lap time as they came to the checkered flag with Takuma Sasaki. It was all right, but it wasn't anything to write home about compared to Valerio Gallo in the Honda. Came across the timing line to blitz the field with a 2:14.870. We all knew it was a strong lap, so did he, and it was a case of a waiting game to see whether anybody else would be able to improve. Lexus looked pretty handy at one point, but lost a bit of time in that final sector. And you can see what Coque Lopez said there. Something that you can't repeat, unfortunately, unless, well, off-cob were involved, you've got a beat machine, perhaps. And BMW also looked pretty good as well, but lost a bit of time again in that final sector. They came across the line, second fastest, a front row start for the German manufacturer. Saya Suzuki disappointed, but taking it in good spirits.
Yeah, I mean, super neat and tidy from Gallo. That's what I saw from that lap. It was just so precise, really nice. But let's have down the dual series with our pole sitter.
Hello, yes we are. Guys, well done. Valerio, I mean, not a massive surprise to see you here. How was that for you guys?
Incredible. I love this car. I always loved it.
Yeah? And obviously, you know, you're not unused to winning, obviously. I mean, but going into this, how has the competition been in the Manufacturers' Cup this year? Like, what's it been like in terms of the standard of driving?
I mean, I can surely underestimate anybody because we are really close in terms of times. We already saw it in Q1 with Matteo. We were so borderline on the cutoff, so we got top 9 by nothing.
Yeah.
And yeah, also good job to him and to Soki. I mean, they did amazing. And considering our car and also the conditions, we weren't expecting such a result, and honestly. Now we look towards the race, which is the most important thing.
Yeah.
We have a long road to do, so yeah.
What's going to be the conversation you're going to have now before it starts with each other? What are you going to tell each other before you come up here?
Forza on.
Let's give them a round of applause. Let them go get ready. Team Honda. Back to you, Tom and Jimmy.
Yeah, thank you very much indeed, Jules. Good to hear there from Valerio Gallo. Q3 results then sees Honda and Gallo taking pole position ahead of the grand final for the Manufacturers' Cup. Saya Suzuki and BMW on the front row as well. Sasaki and Lopez on the second row of the grid. Then Serrano and Miyazono on row 3. Pretty close in terms of the lap times there, but Gallo and Honda managing to extract the maximum performance out of the car in that session.
Yeah, I mean, what else do you expect from Valerio Gallo? What a driver he is, and I'd be happy with that, but it's only half the battle qualifying. Of course, the main event to come up very shortly.
We have to say a big thank you to Steve Brown as well, Super GT. Steve, thank you so much. Steve, thank you so much for joining us. I know you're feeling a bit under the weather with your voice as well, so we've really enjoyed having your company. Thanks for joining us.
Honestly, it's been great to be here, and really looking forward to this race.
Get a couple of beers down you later, and the voice will come back.
He would never. He would never.
Anyway, let's have a look and see about the Manufacturers' Cup season so far before we get into the grand final.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is what you've all been waiting for. Let's stop talking, let's start racing. We're ready to go then. 2024 Gran Turismo World Series is underway here in Montreal.
Gallo pulls to the inside as he challenges for second, parks the car in the apex. This is fantastic racing. Here comes Sasaki for the move on the inside against Valerio Gallo. It'll be a drag to the line between these two. It is from Igor Fraga. He comes to the timing line to win the Manufacturers' Cup.
Welcome to round 2 of the Gran Turismo World Series.
We're ready to go racing here in Prague.
Might be the mistake from Medina as well. Of course, that gap is now down to only a tenth for a second. And that Tano Hense makes the mistake, gets onto the silly part of the circuit, recovers it well. Coming up now towards T2 and T3, the Bouteille almost pushing Drummond. To the inside goes to Rouge. Oh, it's contact, Fenton's gone.
Fenton's gone, he's straight off onto the outside of the track. It's Medina versus Hense. It's winner takes all stakes. Medina has done it! Fantastic! Mohamed Medina wins for Ferrari.
action is about to begin. World Series 3 here in Tokyo is underway. And Ward Suzuki's charge for the time being, but will Suzuki have more room and more momentum on the outside? That is absolutely fantastic. And after Lexus took victory in the opening round of the Gran Turismo World Series in Montreal, they will take their second victory of the season as Kanata Kawakami wins for Lexus here in Tokyo. And now time to welcome our teams onto the stage ahead of the grand final for the Manufacturers' Cup. First of all, please welcome from Audi, Rio Kamata, Nicholas Iragada and Daniel Penko. From Chevrolet, please welcome Yasuki Goto, Donovan Parker and Antonio Santos. From Mercedes-AMG, please welcome Daniel Fenton, Guy Barbara and Lucas Bonelli. From Team Genesis, Nico Romero, Dean Helt and Yuito Sasaki. For Team Toyota, please welcome Adriano Carrazza, Jose Serrano and Tomoaki Yamanaka. For Team Subaru, please welcome Angel Inestrosa, Killian Druont and Takuma Miyazono. For Team Ferrari, please welcome Jun Hashima, Mohamed Badima and Alonso Regalado. Starting on pole position tonight is Team Honda. Their driver lineup is Matteo Estevez, Valerio Gallo and Soki Debatane. Next up, Team Mazda. Their drivers are Ryota Kokkerman, Robbie Heck and Paul Yuda. Starting on the front row tonight is Team BMW. Their drivers, Callum Roach, Thomas Labutale and Saya Suzuki. Team Porsche, their drivers, Artem Osso, Benjamin Hengsei and Takuma Sasaki. And finally, points leaders Team Lexus, their drivers, Harold Valson, Koke Lopez and Kanata Kawakami. And now, ladies and gentlemen, please stand if you're able for the national anthem of our host nation here in the Netherlands. Well, Amsterdam is the city at which we are hosting our World Finals here for the GT World Series, and what a city it is. It just looks beautiful day or night, and what a venue as well here, Jimmy. The Theatre Amsterdam, and you can see a smorgasbord of machinery out the front.
Yeah, can you tell we're here? We've been pretty subtle about it.
I was going to say.
Been pretty subtle about it. Yeah, amazing venue, amazing crowd here today as well, getting ready for what's going to be the highlight of this season for the Manufacturers Series, of course, the Grand Final.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. So, Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps, and just to spice things up a little, Jimmy, we've got some dynamic weather on for this one. So there is a possibility that we could get a bit of rain in this race, and you can see there we've reflected that with the tyre choice. Racing medium, intermediates and heavy wets.
That's the thing, isn't it? If you see that, you go, hang on.
hang on a minute.
Hang on, what's coming?
But the drivers don't know when it's going to rain. Neither do we, actually, for that matter. So if it, when it does rain, it's a gamble, isn't it? You know, do you stay out on, dry tyres and hope that the rain will ease off? Do you go onto intermediate tyres and then it absolutely chucks it down and you're left like a sitting duck?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, it can also be like, oh, I'm on the wrong tyre, the car's slow. And also, the pit lane's quite long here as well. So if you go for that pit stop, you can really, really mess up your strategy if you do it at the wrong time. Of course, all drivers do have to do, I think it's a minimum of 3 laps to take part in this race. Here are the current point standings as they are at the moment. The Lexus there, not on 3 points, but on 13 points. So Lexus leading, but of course the grand final being double points, 12 points up for offer for the winner here. So all that can change very, very quickly. Our drivers there just getting, oh sorry, it's not
24
points, it's 24 points.
Double that.
I should know that, shouldn't I, really? But 24 points, basically, as we said, anyone can win this. You do have a small advantage if your team Lexus at the top, but it's not going to guarantee you the win if you have a bad race.
And the thing is, as you said, 3 laps the drivers have to do, but they don't have to be consecutive laps, actually, in the race as well. So if, for example, a driver goes out and they're on intermediate tyres, they think, oh, hang on a minute, we've made a bit of an error, and they want to go into the pit lane and stick their quick lap driver in and stick a different combat of tyre on, there is a possibility that they could do that and they might get away with it.
They can do that, but their race will be cooked. So, I mean, it's possible, but if that happens, then, yeah, they've got more to worry about,
So this is the first time we've had all 3 drivers from each of the teams here. 36 in total, 12 teams, of course. How do you plan like this? Because now we've got team radio coming into play. There's a lot of strategy to involve here, because normally it's just been 1 driver per team.
Yeah, I mean, the drivers do have team radio in here, so we're going to have the return of the glorious Gran Turismo team radio, so we're going to get an idea of exactly what's going on with these drivers and these teams at all times. Here are the starting grid. Of course, a reminder, Team Honda on pole with BMW and Porsche third. Our current points leaders, Lexus in 4th, Toyota and Subaru 5th and 6th position. Were there any surprises for you there in qualifying, Tom?
Yeah, a couple, actually. I expected Mazda to be a little bit further up the order. I have to say, Chevrolet, they kind of bottled it, really. And also Ferrari, to a point as well. They were fastest in Q1 and then down in 8th in Q2. I mean, it's just not where you expected them to be, is it?
Not really. I mean, as we said, current point standings leaders, Team Lexus there in the 4th position. For them, really, it's about trying to stay clean. Don't get involved in anything too silly in the first few laps. Make sure you're there at the end of the race. That sounds silly, but it's very, very easy to get taken out lap 1, lap 2, and then just playing the catch-up game from here. With those double points being on offer, no one can afford to do that.
Yep, don't do things that make you look bad, as a wise man once said. We'll see what happens. Yeah. No. Okay, all right, fair enough. Suit yourself. And I am looking forward to see what's going to happen here, because as you say, there is so much up for grabs. Of course, not only the pride of it, but also that wonderful trophy that the winning team will be awarded here tonight as well. So let's go down to Jules before we get this grand final underway and see who she's found on the floor.
Oh yes, the time has come. Every single battle they've had on the track is now all to play for as they are finally together as a team. Let's get this Manufacturers' Cup Series going. Let's hear it for our teams!
Manufacturers' Cup here in Amsterdam. The audience are ready, we're ready in the commentary box, the drivers are ready as well, and here is how the grid will line up for the final time in 2024. 12 teams ready to take to the field, and it's Honda on pole position. Shota Nebatane, the man who will lead their chance at the start. Saya Suzuki on the front row of the grid as well. Then Team Porsche with Benjamin Hengse for company on the second row, and Lexus with Kanata Kawakami alongside. Adriano Carrazza will take along for Toyota later on, with Yamanaka starting this race. Subaru with Angel Nostroza also at the wheel. Genesis line up 7th with Dean Helt starting this charge for them. Jun Hashima for Ferrari lines up P8. 9th position, Yusuke Goto for Chevrolet. 10th is Mercedes-AMG with Guy Barbara starting their charge. Then it's Audi and Daniel Penko, the Spaniards. And Mazda completing the 12-driver strong field with Robbie Heck. Now, the only dry compound of tyre that the teams have are the medium compounds. And as the track is dry, they are all starting on the mediums here, Jimmy. Now, it's a rolling start, so we shouldn't expect any dramas down towards the first corner. But up the ride through Eau Rouge and Raidillon, there's a good chance of some overtakes.
It's dark and foreboding here at Spa at the moment. You can see the grey skies. I mean, I think we know what's coming at some point, but when do our drivers, what do you do with that strategy? All starting on mediums for now. Honda leading the way here at Spa for the grand final. Will they still be there come the end of the race?
Well, who is going to be crowned as the Manufacturers' Cup champion of the 2024 season? We're about to find out in 20 laps as the grand final here in Amsterdam gets underway. Honda leading the field across the timeline. We are ready to go racing for one more time this season and crown our world champions here at Spa. Honda lead the field down towards the first corner, and already a flash of rain looks like it's beginning to start in these early stages. BMW, Porsche, Lexus leading them down towards the first turn. Out of La Source, up through Eau Rouge and Raidillon, and on the run to the Camel Straight and into Les Combes is where we'll see the slipstream coming into effect. And of course, for Nevatane, the man who's leading the charge, he does not have that hole being punched in the air in front of him, so he may be under a bit of pressure in the early stages. You can already see a little bit of water on the racing line on the circuit, so let's see how this one works out. Here come BMW against Honda. Up the Camel Straight we go into Les Combes, and Suzuki takes over the lead in the early stages at the front.
Yeah, I mean, easy there. Porsche also got the inside. Big lunge there by Team Porsche, knocking Honda off, returning the favour. Oh, Team Honda, big slap there. I think that's Nevatane at the wheel there of that Honda. I mean, all's fair in love and war, but I'm not sure the stewards will agree with that one.
It's a marathon, not a sprint. That's what you've got to remember in this race. You can't win it on the first lap, but you can certainly lose it. Toyota getting into the back of Porsche there, and also in turn pushing Honda a little bit wide. It's aggressive, it's feisty. Honda now side by side with Toyota through X as well. Toyota with no room. Genesis trying to find their way through. They've got momentum. This is scrappy here, lads, in the opening lap of this one. Genesis now side by side with Toyota down through Pouon. 2x2 through there is a little bit brave. Toyota managed to get the better of Genesis, or do they? Because they still run side by side on the exit. That's going to shuffle them out and allow Subaru to come back through and try and challenge them for position, and do so. So Toyota, the big losers on the opening lap, they've lost 2 places from where they started.
Yeah, massive start there, but Dean Helt in the Genesis car really getting his elbows out early doors. I mean, Dean's definitely that sort of driver. He'll make the move if he needs to, but then understeering through the first step, though, that allows Team Subaru to try and get into Nostroza in the car for them at the moment. But that's a small gap now opening up between the first, second, third and fourth, and that second pack in fifth backwards. But at the front, Team BMW have just bolted away at the moment. Suzuki at the wheel, we know how quick he is in that BMW, and just showing it there, taking the place early, and he's just cleared off.
So Honda, not a particularly brilliant start to their race. Let's have a look at what happened here with this overtake then down into Les Combes. On the outside here of BMW, now Honda, keep an eye out for Porsche behind, because they're going to come through stage right. Up the inside they go, pushes Honda a little bit wide. They go off to the runoff, returning the favour. Porsche get muscled out there as well. And then, like candy from a baby, Lexus go through and up into second as well.
I think the move from Porsche is a little bit optimistic. I mean, you've got to go for it, of course, but then that to rejoin from the Honda. I don't know if it's because they just hit a bit of AstroTurf and the car didn't grip, but it looked like it just slid sideways onto the back of the course and connecting Porsche on the way through. So, I mean, sometimes I think the stewards just go, well, listen, you're as bad as each other, deal with it, and then no further action. But I've not even seen them investigating yet, so...
No, it seems like it's been indeed a racing incident, because, as you say, there's been nothing flashing up on our timing screens. Up we go in towards Les Combes. And Porsche sitting there in third place and not close enough to mount a challenge to Lexus at the moment. Benjamin Hengse behind the wheel of that car, the Hungarian driver who was made an emphatic debut earlier on this year. If you remember back to World Series 2 in Prague, challenged for the victory right up until the final corner. And I dare say if that track had been a couple of hundred metres longer, he would have been on the top step of the podium. It all came down to tyres in mixed conditions. So let's see whether they can repeat that feat here tonight. Genesis versus Subaru, Ferrari and also Chevrolet, four abreast. Look at this. How do you thread the other needle? Ferrari are going to outbrake themselves and go straight off into the Ardennes. Chevrolet left to pick up the pieces there as well. And somehow Genesis and Subaru managed to emerge without any problems as Mazda have picked up a 1 second penalty.
I love the Ferrari there, where they were heroes for approximately a second. And then just completely off they go. But Navartani in the Honda there, just about clinging on inside that top four at the moment to the back of Porsche. BMW is still there with Suzuki. I think gradually, very slowly putting away from the cars behind. Just seems to have that little bit more speed in these early stages. But it's a team game. They're only on lap 2 of 20, and each team still has 2 drivers yet to go. So it's far from over, but BMW, your early leaders.
So Subaru there in the wheel tracks of Genesis. I mean, that's good for them because it'll help them with their straight line speed deficit that they've been struggling with as Mazda just drops down after that penalty to last position in this one. Angel Stroza behind the wheel of that Subaru, a Porsche man for many years. If you remember back to the World Tour, as it was named then, back in 2019, he burst onto the scene by taking victory for Team Porsche at the World Tour event in Tokyo. And we'll be keen to see what is going to happen here for the team of Subaru, sitting in 6th position at the moment. So BMW lead them 1.7 seconds. Back are Team Lexus at the moment. Toyota there in 7th place as well, and Mercedes-AMG not too far adrift there either. It's all pretty calm as it stands for now between these drivers, and we'll be keen to see what's going to happen and how this is going to work out. So up the rise we go on the Kemmel Straight. You see Subaru there with Toyota in front at the moment. In towards Lake Coombe we go. All close up in front there as well between Genesis and Honda. That's an exchange for position, and Honda being muscled to the outside here, and Toyota and Subaru ready to take profit as Honda are left down in the doldrums, going through into the right-hander of turn 7. Subaru are going to get shuffled onto the curb on the outside here, down in towards turn 8. We're going to go on the inside for Honda. Mercedes are ready there to try and take advantage. Subaru are going to get it hung out to dry, but the track will come back to them. Are they going to be able to hold on to 7th place? Oh, they're onto the grass. They just about managed to keep it facing in the right direction. Great recovery there from Angel Stroza, because that could have been quite messy, but a very busy couple of corners.
These guys are going hard. I mean, it's early doors yet, and everyone's acting like it's the last couple of laps of the race, but really, really aggressive so far. So far, Guy Barbara's done a great job in this Merc AMG. He's up 3 places. I mean, we saw him earlier on in the Toyota GT Racing Cup. He was very good at scything through the field early doors. I've got to say, it's been a bit of a, it's been good today, but that's not going to make him very popular. Running into the back of the Honda in front. A little word maybe uttered under the breath of Guy Barbara there as we go up now towards Blanchimont very fast. He's got the draft on Honda and Navartani, but what an awful start for Team Honda. Down 5 places, maybe even 6 here as AMG looks up the inside. Not quite enough space to do that now, I don't think.
Yeah, up the inside through to Blanchimont. You need to be having a willing dancing partner, or you need to be comfortable having your Christmas dinner through a straw. Going in towards the bus stop chicane we go. Is Guy Barbara going to have a lunch to the inside? Thinks better of it, and he's got to keep an eye on behind him. Whoa! A door open very late there between Honda and Mercedes. Mercedes now on the outside. Chevy are going to join the party. 2 for the price of 1 as Honda get muscled out down as well. 3 abreast down the top, finish straight. So Subaru in the mix there as well. Honda shuffled down to 10th. On the inside is Subaru. On the outside there you've got Mercedes as well as Ferrari. Again still 3 abreast on the exit of La Source. Ferrari shuffled out onto the curb, onto the outside. It is kicking off dramatically here, and I wonder whether the drivers are just thinking about the fact the rain's coming in and they've got to try and make up as much progress as they can because of the strategy changes that are going to be involved in this race.
And Gotto there for the Chevrolet just went, oh, thanks, I'll take those. And just took like 3 places there and all that melee. So, yeah, crazy in the midfield right now. Everyone desperately vying for position, but of course you don't want to be fighting too much in these early stages because otherwise you might lose ground to the leaders. And again, there's some contact in the background. Ferrari, I think, coming to blows with Team Honda. Navartani has had an awful first stint, down 8 8 places. What is wrong with Nabatani?
You make it sound like top of the pops here, Jimmy. Down 8 places,
down
up
8
2 places.
I know he's gone. He's out of there. But that team is our biggest loser so far.
Yeah, it's not been good, has it, at all for Nabatani? And the problem is that then means it's going to be an uphill struggle from that point on for his teammates, Matteo Estevez and Valerio Gallo. They're going to have a lot of work to do. And, of course, we know the weather is going to be closing in before long.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to get very tricky very, very quickly. But that's a great part about these GT live events. They don't make it easy for our drivers. We know they're some of the best Gran Turismo drivers in the world. Look at that clown, my God. You just see that and think, yep, it's over, boys. It's coming.
You've got to cue the Jaws music, haven't you? Because you know it's an inevitability. And the thing is as well, I suppose some of the teams are thinking about and would have had to have the difficult discussions of who's quicker when it gets wet. Because, you know, some drivers are quicker in the dry, some are tricky in mixed conditions. Let's have a look here at Toyota. This is in front with Honda and Genesis. Yeah. Oh, look at that. Toyota, just the seas parting for them.
Beautiful. That's how you do it. That's how you get those places made. But that's part of being a driver here, is you have to be able to see those moves happening. You have to be able to understand these things unfolded in front of you and how to react to them. But to go back to your point, Tom, about the drivers having that conversation, I mean, part of being a team player here is knowing your strengths, knowing your weaknesses, and being honest with your team, because you can't perform at your best if you aren't all performing well and playing to your strengths. There is look at that. Yeah, here it comes.
And you can see it's going to be coming in a fairly heavy intensity as well, because it's going sort of, what's that? South, I've never reached shredded. Wait, hang on a minute.
Northeast.
Yeah, northeast. There you go.
God, mate.
I know. Geography was never my strong point. Yeah, can you tell? Anyway, it's coming in northeast, and you can see it's coming in a fair old intensity as well, and it's going to hit where's at the bottom of the circuit first, so sort of Lake Coombe area and down through the Stavilo corners. That's where the rain's going to start to hit, but depends on the sort of intensity. You can see if the checkered flag fell now here on lap 5, that's what the points rankings would look like, but there's a lot of time for things to change, and that of course depends on the fact if Lexus finish in second. If they get dropped down to third place, well, it could be BMW that take this crown.
Yeah, I mean, all can change. We've still got a very long way to go in this race. Honda there holding on for dear life, whereas Ferrari and Subaru team radio here.
Okay, one more lap. Yes,
Team Subaru.
exactly.
Team Subaru there saying one more lap. Then what? On to another set of mediums, I guess.
Yeah, well, there's no sign of the rain's here yet, as we saw from the weather radar. So that's the only logical option. You can't go out on intermediate tyres on a bone-dry track, can you? Otherwise, that would be, well, it would be daft, wouldn't it, really, if you think about it? We'll wait and see what's going to happen, though, with that weather and how quickly it's going to come in.
I feel like you'd wait, though, you know, if you could see that, because they've all got access to the same weather radar we do, would you not wait?
Well, that would be the logical thing, unless they're trying to throw a dummy and play a bluff. Let's have a listen.
Catching BMW, by the way.
That'll be Genesis then in 5th place, saying they're catching BMW. So behind the wheel of that is Dean Hell, who we saw has been getting his elbows out in the opening stages of this race.
But you can see that they're looking at the big picture. You know, they're only in 5th right now, but they're not looking at 5th. They're looking at BMW. Go, right, they're the leaders. We are catching them, which means that we're going to be, you know, we're some of the quickest on the circuit. Let's just keep that up. Let's just keep moving forward. As we watch Team Lexus go into the bus stop again, followed by Porsche, Toyota, Genesis. That rain getting ever closer as we get further into this race. And again, the teams all have this information. So the guys will be back on there, I say the pit wall, in the lovely seats of our Fiat Amsterdam at the front row there, just giving that advice to their teammates. And Porsche, where's that come from?
Penalty for colliding with another car. Is that an incident that we haven't seen on screen? Because they're not particularly close to anybody this moment, unless they had it coming together with Lexus that we didn't see about. It could have been for earlier on in the race. Now Subaru and Mazda in the box at the end of lap 6, but we know that weather's coming in now. Which way are they going to play it, and who are they going to change over driver-wise to as well? So onto the wet tyres, Subaru, on a track where it's not even raining at the moment. So they're trying to get ahead of the curve, essentially. Innestrosa out of the car. Into the car goes Kylian Drumont. Heck out of Mazda. Jura in the Mazda. They've gone for a differentiation in strategy here. Mazda going on to the intermediate tyres. Subaru going on to the extreme wet tyres. The rain not even arrived at this point. That is a bold call at this stage. Oh, it has arrived. Look at the wipers on.
There is some rain, but I just think, especially for Subaru, that's far too early for the wet tyres. Sure, they've been saying that. Look how the rain is now coming out of the X corners to go down towards Buon. Suzuki there, you can hear the rain just coming down the roof of the car there. Let's see if there's any really deviation in line still giving it, the full beans at the moment, but it is going to get to the point soon when the track grip does start to reduce. And of course, with slick tyres, once you lose the heat, it's over, basically. So what he's trying to do now is just keep pushing, keep the heat in the tyres. I'm sure we'll see him box in at the end of this lap, but I just think going for the wets and the intermediates, you've just lost about a lap of dry pace from that, which is not the way.
Well, let's see how this plays out. Mazda have got the better of Subaru on the intermediate tyres. The rain is at its heaviest at this point on the circuit. In terms of the weather radar, we can see from our commentary box, it is going to be absolutely tipping down over the course of the whole track. Very, very dark clouds, and you can look at that. So anyone who's on the slick tyres, they now have to come in. Look at how quickly the complexion of this race has changed as the rain has come down very, very suddenly, and those who are on the slick tyres are going to have to come into the box. But are those who pitted early, Mazda and Subaru, going to be able to take benefit of that early stop? I don't think they are, because the pace, though it's going to be a bit slower, I don't think it's extremely slow. It's not like they're tiptoeing around, is it?
No, I mean, they seem to be at a decent pace coming in. But now's the real question. Do you go for intermediates, or do you go for a full wet tyre? I mean, the idea is you try and skip the intermediates if you can, just to make, if you are going from one extreme to the other. Let's see. All our drivers coming now, every team in. Unsurprisingly, as the rain comes down, you can see now the trails in the pit lane. Waiting for our first cars coming. Here is Team BMW, our leaders. Now, what do? This is crucial for their race. They go on to the wet compound tyre. Full wet there for BMW and Lexus. Do Porsche and Toyota follow suit? They don't. Leboutillet in for Team BMW. He spoke to Super GT Steve Brown earlier. He said Leboutillet, one of the fastest drivers in that BMW. Now, here are Team Mazda, Team Subaru. They opted to pit earlier, but they're miles away. Absolutely miles away.
It was a bold gamble. I didn't think it was going to be one that particularly paid off. I'll tell you what is interesting is you've got a right mixture of tyres here at the moment. Some have gone on to intermediate, some have gone on to wet, and the problem is it's moving quite quickly, this weather at the moment. It's sort of going from a light blue on our weather radar to a dark blue to a light blue again very quickly, and dark blue means it's heavy rain, light blue means it's light rain. So this is going to be hugely interesting. Of course, different drivers now in the car for the most part as well. Leboutillet's behind the wheel of the BMW. Lopez now in for Lexus. Mosso in for Team Porsche as well. Serrano in for Toyota. Yuito Sasaki in for Genesis inside the top 5 as it stands for now. The top 2 on the wet tyres. Likewise, Genesis and Chevrolet. Porsche and Toyota sticking with the intermediate tyres then at this stage in the race. And only time is going to tell if this is going to be a gamble that will pay off. We'll have to look at the sector and the lap times.
Yeah, we'll keep you updated, of course. We'll have a little while before we know which is quickest. Coque Lopez now in the car for Team Lexus. Man, this guy, what a veteran of Gran Turismo. He's won pretty much everything. So he knows how to win a race here at Spa in the Group 3 cars. And we'll be keeping an eye on some of the crossover times. Let's have a look. So we think that at this point, the best tire to be on, if you're doing 2-minute 30 lap time plus, is a heavy wet. Intermediate, it's about a 224 to 230. And after the racing mediums, anything under a 224, you should be on that slick compound tyre. They're definitely slower than that right now. We're on board with Team Toyota, and the rain already seems to have sort of let up a little bit. It's not quite as dark as it was before, but still coming down through this second sector. Now we go, tough spot here. Team Porsche taking that wet line, getting off that rubber, and then onto the curb on exit. Wouldn't want to usually be there, but it seems to be a little bit of grip out there. It's Jose Serrano, Team Toyota, coming up the hill. And looks like Lexus, Coque Lopez, is bringing that gap down to BMW in front.
On Porsche and lunging to the inside, down at the bus stop, side by side they go. Porsche aren't going to give this one up too easy, and Toyota have to settle for second best, but can they get the switchback on the exit of the corner? Coming out of the final turn we go then for Porsche, and they do manage to hold on to third place for now, but Toyota having a look on the inside, maybe into the source, but Porsche parking it on the apex and holding firm for the time being. Now a look at the lap times. Wet tyres for BMW and for Lexus, 236.3, 235.2. Porsche and Toyota about the same. There's not much difference, is there?
You may think the Inter is maybe slightly quicker, but only slightly at this point. As we look at Toyota and Porsche, Lexus also closing up on Team BMW, but you have to think this is probably going to be it now for Team Porsche and Toyota. Porsche got a friend to go to the inside line, so Serrano's going to have to go the long way around the outside, but you might want to do that really if it's the wet. That straight line speed of a Supra, proving that it doesn't even need to matter what line is on. Drive straight by that Porsche in a straight line, and up to third place go Team Toyota. Toyota. Great move there from Jose Serrano. Now, can he latch on to the top two? The gap is about 4 seconds between him and Coque Lopez, his fellow countryman, in that Lexus. So he's got a bit of a gap to bring down there, but let's see if that intermediate tyre is the one to do it on.
Ferrari have picked up a penalty as well. Down in 9th place, Mohamed Badima now behind the wheel of that car. It's not been a particularly fortuitous day for them, and likewise, Honda still struggling to make an impression after a quite difficult start to their race. After being on pole position, they've dropped down into 8th position. They're now on the wet tyres, whereas everybody else around them is on the intermediates, and if the track gets wetter, they're okay. If it gets drier, they've had it, really. We'll wait and see.
You say that, weather radar, which we'll try and show you guys very shortly, is we're coming to a heavier bout of rain again across the circuit. So if you are on those intermediate tyres, it's about to get a bit more sketchy for you. For the wet tyre runners, maybe the right choice to be on that tyre at this time. But it's so hard to choose. Looks like Toyota's actually fallen off the back a little bit. Lost a second and a bit in that middle sector.
These intermediate tyres are going to be coming to the end of their life now here, aren't they? Look at this, Porsche struggling, Toyota struggling, Genesis on the extreme wet tyres. This is going to be easy because you don't need a car with an engine, you need a boat with 2 oars out there at the moment here at Spa-Francorchamps. Genesis now versus Porsche, and surely this is going to be a formality as we head into the next braking zone of the bus stop. You've got to go one at a time into Blanchimont, or can Genesis take that advantage? Well, they certainly think about it, and they're being slowed up by Porsche here as we head through there, but Porsche are going to surely run it wide, and aquaplane a little bit off line as Genesis then do go now through and into 4th position. Next target is Toyota as the rain buckets down here at Spa-Francorchamps.
Yeah, it really is getting tricky out there now. Team Radio.
Let's be aggressive. Yeah.
That's definitely Genesis, I can tell there straight away, and that was aggression. Through they go. They need that. They need to be pushing now. And look at this. The fight for the lead is closed right up. Coque Lopez is now right on the back of Thomas Abutale in that BMW. Coque Lopez on a charge right now, on board now with the Spanish driver in that Lexus RCF up Eau Rouge to the top now, through Radion, and we're now just in the draft of the car in front. Do we go for a move here? We latch onto the back of the team BMW deep into the slipstream. Let's see if the racing line differs. Still in the draft. Will Coque Lopez go through his pulls out to the left, then ducks back inside, dummies him, takes the place, goes up into first and holds the BMW's contact, and they're both off into the grass there. Same thing happened earlier on, Tom. He just got onto the AstroTurf, and there's no grip out there, and just slides back onto the circuit.
It's so hard to hold the line when you've got a lack of adhesion when the rain is coming down in the intensity. It's starting to ease off a little bit again. It was heavy for just a minute or so, and that favoured the wet weather runners. But if the track again dries out, if the rain gets lighter, and according to our weather radar that we can see in the commentary box, it looks like it's going to for a little while. So that could bring the intermediate runners now back into play in a lap or so's time.
Genesis up to P3 in the background too, so they're really making the most of this wet compound tyre. Here's a replay of what happened there. So we're on board with the Lexus, just on the roof cam here. Great move by Coque Lopez, puts his car up the inside, he's got it there. Then just a tiny bit of contact, the BMW goes off onto the AstroTurf. It's not really one of those things where it's like, okay, it's his fault. When he's out there, I think there's no grip, there's zero grip, so he just slides back onto the circuit. So he does keep the position, which I'm sure Coque Lopez won't be too happy with.
No, and the thing is, while they're squabbling amongst one another, they've got to bear in mind the fact that that gap to Genesis is going to be closing. I know it's about 7 seconds there and thereabouts at the moment, but you know, if they have another couple of corners like that, that could easily be halved in a matter of moments, can't it?
Both of them really on the edge of grip right now, just trying to get that traction down. And again, Coque Lopez smells blood in the water all over the back of that BMW, coming up now towards Blanchimont. Very, very fast left-hander. See, just a little bit more confidence, I'd say, from Coque Lopez behind. Will he ever go into the bus stop? He likes the heavy late braking zone. Does Coque Lopez? He does. Lunges up the inside. Will he get stopped in time? No. Straight on goes Coque Lopez, but he's got the inside for this left-hander. Just about had the doors shut there by Thomas Abutale. What a battle here for first place, and the crowd love it.
Absolutely amazing. Amazing. We're at the halfway stage now here of this race, and the top two are knocking 7 bells out of one another. If Coque Lopez had misjudged that, been a couple of metres later on the brakes, that would have gone down like a knackered lift. Fortunately, they managed to keep it facing in the right direction. BMW then lead by 0.3 of a second over Lexus at the moment, but Genesis closing the gap now. It was 7 seconds just a lap or so ago. It's now down to just over 6 seconds.
And what a show these guys are putting on for our audience here at Amsterdam. The grand final, of course, of the Manufacturers' Cup. We're halfway through the race now. BMW and Lexus so far are your headlines. Back on board with Coque Lopez. He fancies another go at it. This time he's going to try the outside up towards Lake on side by side. Not being much grip out there. He's on the curb. Is he going to make it stick? He goes all the way around the outside. Coque Lopez and Team Lexus up into first place. And now I think, Tom, we're going to see Lexus and Coque Lopez just put the hammer down and try and extend that gap.
Well, let's not forget that the Lexus team won the Manufacturers' Cup, the inaugural one, back in 2018. And there is an opportunity for them to do that here tonight if they do take victory and clear off in the points tally. Just to go back to some of the intermediate job runners, by the way, they're nowhere at the moment with the track being as well as it is. They're about 2 or 3 seconds off the pace of the wet weather runners, and that has really helped Subaru out in this middle stage of the race. They were down in last place just 3 laps ago. They've now brought themselves back up into 9th position, so they're slowly creeping their way back through the field. But I dare say, on the horizon there, Jimmy, it looks like the clouds are easing off a bit.
Yeah, a little bit. Man, I love change of weather in a race. It just makes everything so much better, doesn't it? It really does. And Coque Lopez, again, we talk about the guy's experience. I mean, he's still in his 20s, but he's one of the most experienced drivers here at the moment, knows this game back to front, knows this car back to front, and just showing exactly what he's capable of when he's given a free track ahead. Already the gap up to nearly a second between Lexus and BMW, and you see really battling with traction there, but just skirting on the edge of grip and making it look easy as he does it. So your order right now as we come to the end of lap 10. It's Team Lexus from BMW and Genesis in P3. So here's a replay between Porsche and Toyota. What happens here? Toyota looks to the outside. Just runs into the back of Porsche. Does it spin? Masterful recovery, but AMG Mercedes there. Who's at the wheel of that right now? That's Kamata. No, sorry, that's not him. Sorry, my bad.
Behind the wheel of Mercedes is Daniel Benton.
Yeah, he just, well, all right, well, like that.
Yeah.
Cheers, mate.
Lovely.
Again, go.
The sea's past it. That's the thing. Keeping your car on the straight and narrow, not getting involved in any bother, it could prove to be very beneficial. You can see, meanwhile, Chevrolet have closed up onto the back of Genesis here, 0.7 of a second, so they're within slipstreaming range. Behind the wheel of the Chevy at the moment is Antonio Santos, the Frenchman who's making his World Series debut here this weekend. And we'll see whether he is going to be able to ruffle a few feathers at the moment.
How's Chevy done that? Team radio, yeah.
Just this time, baby.
So let's see whether Chevrolet can depose Genesis down, and look at that, blue skies up ahead, so the rain beginning to ease off, and this might bring the intermediate shod runners back into play. But are we going to see wet drivers going on to intermediates, or are they just going to wait for the track to dry out and go on to slicks? That's a crucial point. More problems for Porsche as they spin off on the exit of Stavolo, all of their own accord, and go tumbling down the order. What a shame for Arthur Mosso.
No.
Oh, man, Mosso not happy, is he?
No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't. He certainly was not, Arthur Mosso, and now down into last place. Well, very fine margins here in the GT World Series.
What I was going to say, sorry, before we saw that replay there, is that is our second place, current second place in the standings.
Yeah.
Now, pretty much out of it.
That is it. We need to have a look at the live point standings, don't we, at the moment? Well, it's Lexus and BMW who are at the top of the pile, and Lexus, by a comfortable margin, if the checkered flag fell now, would be crowned as the champions. But there's still plenty of time for things to change, and as you saw there for Porsche, a couple of mistakes over the case of a couple of laps, and their race has turned completely on its head.
And we've only seen so far 2 of the 3 drivers from each team. So still a couple of drivers yet to go. This race could still change, as you say. And now it is still raining slightly, but you can see the water is starting to be dispersed there as Team Genesis really hanging out on that curb. You don't want to be there in the wet. It's very slippery out there. There is still, I mean, there's still rain due, but like, you can see the track isn't quite as wet as before. You wouldn't believe that, though, as Genesis. Man, they're all over the place. And then in comparison to Santos behind in that Corvette, the Chevy Corvette, just a lot more composed.
Yeah, the Chevrolet looking, as you say, just a little bit more stable at this particular point, but still right on the gearbox of the Genesis as we head through the Blanchimont corner. And Chevrolet now ahead of Genesis and up through into 3rd place, whilst we're looking at this battle a little bit further down. So we'll have to get a replay of that overtake for position, because now it is Antonio Santos in front of Yuito Sasaki then. Out of the final corner we go, and is Sasaki going to be able to repay the favour on the Chevy down in towards turn 1? Don't think they're going to be close enough at the moment. Well, Chevrolet have shown consistently similar pace to Genesis, in fact quicker pace over the last lap by about a second or so, as BMW pick up a warning for a collision. And look at this, race now. BMW back in front of Lexus. So Lopez, whether he made a mistake or something like that, I'm not 100% sure, but there must have been a smattering of contact between the two. It now means the Frenchman, Le Boutelet, behind the wheel of the BMW, is now back in the lead of the race.
Yeah, I mean, there you go. I mean, I'm not quite sure what happened there, as you say, but maybe a mistake. Maybe Le Boutelet's tyres were just a bit of better nick, although looking at the... doesn't seem like that was the case. Interestingly, Tom, looking at the standings as well, the intermediate runners are starting to go a little bit quicker. Yeah, in fact, a bit quicker than the wet, sorry.
They've had to go through the sort of ugly stage in the middle of this one, haven't they, where they've not had the pace. But now, as you can see, the rain isn't really falling that much, if at all, to be honest with you. And that's where the intermediate shock runners, the race will begin to come back to them. But the crucial thing is, have they lost so much time? So let's have a look here what happened with BMW and Lexus into La Source. Lexus a little bit deep on the brakes. BMW are going to get a good exit out of La Source. Is there going to be contact side by side going up through into Eau Rouge and Radion? No, it was just a mistake there from Coque Lopez, which allowed Le Boutelet and the BM to go through and take the lead.
Just better traction out the corner, wasn't it? The BMW just picked up really nicely, and the Lexus was just there, just left standing. But
Toyota got a penalty as well, red dot flashing next to their name, so not been a particularly brilliant race so far for Jose Serrano. There he is in the background, a half-second penalty, so track limits violation, 1.5 seconds actually for Toyota. That's even worse, so they will not be retaining their crown if it stays as it is. Fenton going through into the Fagnes chicane and in towards Stavlo. You can see a bit of rear instability as he just kissed the white line. Wide there for Subaru and for Kylian Drumont as well. We know how fast that Subaru is in these mid-speed corners at this circuit in Spa-Francorchamps, and look at that, a possibility maybe of some blue sky coming in before the end of this race. The track will begin to dry out, and if it does dry out, who is going to be brave and bold enough to make the switch onto the dry tyres? AMG and Ferrari, meanwhile, pretty close to one another. Just a change of positions there as well between Mazda and Toyota. Team radio here.
I think dry time is later. Maybe 14.
So dry time is later for Genesis. That's Yuichi Sasaki, the voice that you were hearing a few minutes ago. So I think what they're going to try and do is stay out on the wet tyres. And that's the problem, isn't it? The intermediate runners, they're kind of quids in here at the moment because they'll have more grip underneath them as the track begins to dry out, whereas the wet runners won't, but all have got to stay out, really, until the right time to switch over to dries.
And we can see just about weather radar on that left-hand side. That is the last of the rain. So we will probably have a drying, if not dry, circuit towards the end of this race. And this is where the intermediates are going to start to shine, and those wet tyres are going to start tearing themselves apart. I mean, the track is still in a condition where the wet or intermediate tyres are both viable, but we're going to see that Inter get quicker and quicker and quicker.
Certainly will. So through turn 7 we go. On board here then with Lexus, who got a face full of BMW for pretty much the majority of the last couple of laps. They were having a clear track in front of them. But for that mistake from Coque Lopez that we saw down at La Source, Honda have got a penalty now then as well in 5th place. It has not been a race to remember, and unfortunately a possibility of victory looks to be slipping through their fingers quicker and quicker as the laps count down.
Tell you what, it's been a great middle stint from Santos, the French driver, his first time at one of these events, and he's taken that Chevrolet up to 3rd place for now, only 7 seconds behind this battle. I'm interested as Coque Lopez, it seems as he's got dry, he's starting to fall off a little bit. He seems to be a bit more comfortable in those low grip conditions, but now the grip's going back. Le Boutelet is back in the pound seat and just that little bit quicker.
Keep an eye out for AMG and Dan Fenton as well on the intermediate compound of tyre. Let's have a look here at him and Kylian Drumont in the Subaru. Coming in towards X corner then, through the left-hander. Is Drumont going to go onto the curb? And just look at the traction, look at the drive that Fenton's got on that intermediate tyre. He's just going to steam past him down into Pouhon.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a bad race strategy-wise for Team Subaru, that's for sure. Definitely not gone their way. But, well, again, there's still another driver yet to go. AMG Mercedes, Fenton there at the wheel of that. He is the lead intermediate runner. He's going to be a great yardstick. And, of course, all the teams are going to be watching that. BMW, Lexus, Corvette, Chevrolet, sorry, they're all going to be watching what happens there on the time. Well, it's really coming down the time now. 2:28 from the Boutelet on the BMW. We're now firmly in the window for those intermediates to be quick.
And that's the problem for the wet shod runners. So you can see the top 4 all on the wet tyres, but behind them, Daniel Fenton, team radio here.
I think it's dry.
Oh, wow,
We're
big
going
call.
more. Honda has a penalty. We have the buffer.
So that's Sasaki and Held to Genesis exchanging notes with one another in fourth place, and they're working out when is the best time to change over to the dry tyres. So there'll be a driver change. Sasaki will get out of the car. So Nico Romero will be behind the wheel for what looks to be their closing stint in the race, and all they've got to do is try and find the right crossover point, and it could come to Genesis here, because the last thing these wet shop runners want to do is stay out too long, allow the inter runners to close up, and then they've lost the advantage that they gained in that middle stint.
Well, we thought that the crossover point for the racing medium tyres, which is what the guys have available to them for dry tyres, is a 224. We're not quite there yet.
But look at the intermediate runners, Jimmy, as well.
Wow, yeah.
Dan Fenton lost around 226.9. Wet shop runner nearest to him is Genesis, a 228.5.
A 225 from Porsche and Mosso. So I think you're right there. Yeah. Sasaki was right. Get on there. And the thing is, all the rest of the teams, actually look at that. Mercedes AMG Fenton, he's gained 1.3 seconds on Team Genesis. And Genesis has been quick on this middle stint, but the tyres now starting to definitely go the other way. So all the teams must know this right now. You see a lot of people standing behind rigs. Miyazono there watching on, getting ready to get in, I think. And this next lap is going to be pivotal for the race. Will they pit? Will they stay out? Let's find out.
Absolutely. Well, it's going to be busier in the pit lane than the supermarkets on Black Friday, isn't it, in a few moments' time, because there's going to be a lot of activity going on with drivers changing over, presumably all to the dry compound of tyres. The wet shop runners there, the hand is kind of tied behind their back at the moment. They've got no choice but to change over to that one. Otherwise, as I said, that advantage is just going to be washed away, so to speak. Mercedes closing up so fast.
I think you have to risk it. You have to risk the slick now. I mean, because if you get caught napping, it's not worth just a couple of seconds. It's going to be 4 or 5 seconds. So let's see. Our first teams coming by the pit lane. Will they pit in? BMW and Lexus. What are they going to do? Our leaders have gone past pit lane. Have they come out? I don't see them.
No, Lexus aren't in. BMW aren't in.
Oh,
Genesis go in then. So they're deciding to take the gamble. They said they were going to go aggressive, and they are the first of the wet shop runners to blink at the start of lap 15. Subaru also following them through. Not surprised at all. Subaru and Honda under investigation a few moments ago for a collision. They've got nothing to lose at this particular point and everything to gain. Meanwhile, look at Mercedes now right on the gearbox of Chevrolet, and this is surely going to be a formality, a matter of time before the Mercedes muscles their way past the Chevy.
Yeah, Fenton was 3 seconds quicker that lap. That's how much the difference between the wet and intermediate right now. So he just needs to go past him, just drive by and try and make the best of this intermediate. So now we have our first teams risking the medium slick tyre. And this is where it's going to get tricky, because that little dry line you can see we're driving on now, that's the only surface of the circuit which has any grip, and it's still greasy. It's not completely dry. So you see, even on the curves, look at the grip difference. It's crazy.
Unbelievable there for Dan Fenton in the Mercedes, and coming out of turn 7 down in towards Rivage of turn 8. He's going to drive around the outside. I thought he was thinking about that. You know, he's going to get held up for another couple of corners, but as I said, it's only a matter of time. We've seen moves being made through turn 9 of Ix with drivers on the wet tyres running wide, and the problem here for Fenton is he's just getting held up, and look at that, he's just waiting to get on the power. He needs to just steam past him here.
He's not being clever. He's driving right behind him. He's not giving himself the opportunity to have that overlap, to have that overtake. This should be it now. But he didn't. He's just waiting. You've got to be aggressive now. He's lost so much time here. This is pivotal for Mercedes AMG and for Fenton, and he's just not getting the move done. It's a great defensive drive by Santos. He's putting his car in the right spot, and Fenton can do nothing apart from wait again. He's just driving up to the back. He needs to give himself a slingshot.
Yeah, just needs a lunge, doesn't he, at the point? But look at Santos there, just parking the car on the apex. He's going to try and get the switchback here, is Dan Fenton, but again goes onto the wet part of the track, and then he doesn't have the same grip underneath him that he needs, and that's the problem here. So this is really compromising Dan Fenton, and also Mercedes AMG's race here, and a possible podium could be slipping through the net, courtesy of the dramas that are being stuck behind Chevrolet here on lap 15. We'll wait and see how it all plays out, but we've got one more pit stop left to go, and surely now, if you're on the wet tyres, you've got to make that pit stop at the end of this lap, otherwise you're going to be up a creek without a paddle, so to speak. On the brakes we go into the final chicane. Chevrolet defending the line, and surely they're going to come into the box. Mercedes do as well, and that was a brilliant lap there from Antonio Santos for Chevrolet, and no surprise at all to see the last of our wet and intermediate shop runners into the box for their final stint.
If you want a class on defensive driving, that was it. That was a car that was 3 seconds a lap slower than the car behind it, and managed to keep him there just by placing his car in the right point. Definitely round of applause there for Santos and Team Chevrolet. But now we get into the business end of this race. Everyone, and I mean everyone, coming into the pit lane to go over to that medium compound tyre. But you see Roach there, very slow on exit, just waiting to get up to speed. There you go, now on to the dry line. Where are those who went for the dry tyre first?
Well, Genesis were the first runners to come into the box, weren't they? So that'll be the proof in the pudding. They're up into third place. They'll have a bit more heat in their tyres as well. They'll be a little bit more worn later on. But look at that wide there for BMW, up through Rouge and Radion for Callum Roach there. And that could leave them under pressure from Harold Velsen in the Lexus. He's got a great run coming up the Kemmel Straight and in towards Lake Coombe. Is Velsen going to think about a move on the inside? The problem is that the wet line, or the dry line I should say rather, is so narrow that if you go off it, you're going to be going straight to the scene of the crash into Lake Coombe, and they line astern, and that just gives Roach a little bit of breathing space to get those tyres up to the right working window.
So to give you an idea of that decision for Romero, it paid off or not, it did. They gained about 3.5, 4 seconds there on the top two, which puts them in striking distance if anything happens in. If these guys start fighting, Roach at the wheel of that BMW, this is a very, very quick guy. If these guys fight, then they might end up being caught by Team Genesis, and that battle for the lead becomes a three-way fight. Although also AMG and Benelli in the background. Here are the life point standings. If things finish now, Lexus would be your champions by 1 point. That's all it is over BMW. Genesis third, AMG fourth, and Subaru up into fifth. But we still have 5 and a bit laps to go, or 4 and a bit laps to go of this race, and these are the tricky conditions where you're on that very narrow racing line, and when you go off things, and when you go off that line, it can all go wrong from there.
So yeah, Lexus and BMW team radio here.
Literally just take it nice and easy and we'll pop out ahead. We'll be in P3 relatively easily.
That's Genesis, isn't it? Team radio.
Look at that gap, Tom. It's come down again. It's 2.3 seconds now. Genesis are on a flyer at the moment. Incredibly fast. That's Nico Romero. Again, Romero knows his car very well. He's driven for Genesis for a while now, and he knows he's got to go hard and go early. He's now the gap down to 2.2 seconds.
Oh, Mazda a bit wide there on the medium tyres. That's going to allow Ferrari to go through shortly, or at least try and attack in towards the bus stop chicane. That's for 8th position. No, they managed to live to fight another day. I just wanted to say on a quick point as well, looking back at the former Manufacturers' Cup champions, Nissan won it last year, Subaru the year before that, Toyota have won it twice, Subaru have won it twice, Lexus have won it once. We've never had a non-Japanese Manufacturer Cup champion. We could be set for that here tonight. This is the moment then between Ferrari and Mazda for 8th place. We ride on board with Mazda, that rotary Wankel engine, screaming its way up to the gearbox, and they go for that aggressive move on the outside into Blanchimont, pinches the Ferrari, and manages to get themselves up into 8th place. I thought it was a mistake from Mazda, but it was actually a very aggressive overtake. And look at that now, down to 1.2 seconds, the gap between Lexus and Genesis, and it's bringing a train of cars along with it as well. AMG, Chevrolet, Subaru, and even Toyota not far adrift of this one, and we've got 3.5 laps remaining. There is still time for the complexion of this race to change. Just to remind you, if the checkered flag fell now, Lexus would be crowned as Manufacturers' Cup champions of 2024 by just 1 point over Team BMW. Genesis have currently got 19 points, so we need to do the mental arithmetic. If they go and win the race, is that going to be enough for them to be crowned as the champions here if BMW and Lexus finish in 2nd and 3rd respectively?
We've never been closer.
Eyes in front.
Oh man, I mean, that you can now feel that Nico Romero and Dean Howe are like, okay, this is our chance, we can do it. And look at him, maybe a little bit of a smile there on the face of Nico. He knows he's got pace, but he's not there yet. The gap down to 1.7 seconds. Look who's behind though, it's Benelli, and he is fast. The Brazilian driver from Mercedes AMG is latched onto the back of Team Genesis, and this is a guy you don't want in your mirrors. Extremely quick driver is Benelli, and it feels like the whole field's just sort of come back together a bit at the end of the race as the dry running has maybe changed the dynamics of the car slightly. It's going to be a mad finish, this one.
Yeah. hold on to your hats then and stand by your beds, because it is going to be a cracker here for the grand final of the Manufacturers' Cup. Under the brakes we go, in towards the bus stop chicane. Genesis holding firm in third place for now, but I mentioned that train of cars that's coming through. They are all going to be nose to tail in just a lap or so's time, I'm sure of it. Over the timeline we go. BMW and Callum Roach 0.3 of a second in front of Harold Valson in the Lexus. Genesis, meanwhile, last time around they were over half a second faster than leaders BMW. Likewise, Lucas Bonelli was in turn half a second faster than the Genesis. So Bonelli and AMG, as Jimmy said, on an absolute charge at the moment, and it's anybody's guess as to who is going to claim victory in the grand final here tonight, but who, of course, is going to claim the overall crown here as well.
Harold Valson at the wheel of Team Lexus. Super sub, of course, subbing in for Igor Fraga, who can't be here for this final. What a performance he's put in there, the Chilean driver. Lexus are within reach of yet another Manufacturers' Cup title. All they've got to do is stay where they are. They stay where they are and they win. But look who's behind them. Team Genesis and Nico Romero. Lucas Bonelli as well for Mercedes AMG. It's not going to be just simply drive to the end. It's going to be watch your mirrors and try and keep that place. If they do lose that place to Team Genesis, BMW will be the Manufacturers' Cup champions. So still all to play for with only 2.5 laps left.
I'm hugely excited to see how this one is going to work out. Tell you what, Bonelli's challenge has just faltered a little bit on this lap. He must have made a mistake, the Brazilian driver, because he was right on the coattails of Romero a few corners ago, and now he's 1.1 seconds adrift of the Spaniard.
Here we are.
Subaru and Chevrolet as well, not far adrift of them either.
And it will take us one little mistake and that whole field compresses. I'm telling you now.
So through into the Spanish game we go. Team radio.
No more talking. I know what to do though.
No more talking, you know what to do. That's going to be Callum Roach, isn't it? That has to be the voice of the American driver. Just let him get on with it. Let him deal with the job at hand. There are the live points rankings. If the checkered flag fell now. But there are faster drivers behind the BMW of the Lexus, the Genesis and the AMG.
Well, there's nothing that really Callum Roach can do right now. He is the best he can be, which is be in the lead. It's up to what happens behind him, which will dictate who wins today, who wins the Manufacturers' Cup, the grand final, the decider for the season. And we only have 2 laps left here to go at Spa. Genesis, they seem to be stuck in that 1.5 second range, or Lexus have got that little bit closer to BMW in front. Do you attack if you're Team Lexus? I mean, if you finish where you are, you're champions.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the thing. Do you play it safe? There's no point throwing it up the inside, sending them both off the track potentially and taking that risk. But the problem is, you can see that Genesis and AMG are still lurking there in the background. The problem is they're running out of time. We've got 2 laps now remaining.
He's going to have the draft up here, so there might be an opportunity. BMW need to win this. They have to win, so I think Callum Roach would be defensive here. But Paul there through Eau Rouge and Radion for Team Lexus. Look, Team Genesis now are in the draft, only a second behind. Meanwhile, Subaru and Mercedes AMG go side by side. That is Takuma Miyazono versus Lucas Bonelli. Will Miyazono try the outside line? There's contact between the two. Oh, and they both go off.
Oh, well, Bonelli did not want to give that one up. And Chevrolet going spinning round up at Lake Comas. Well, that's a disaster for the American manufacturer. They were having such a strong race. Mercedes AMG pick up a penalty and they're under investigation. Well, the thing is, you've got to give racing room to the car on the outside. And to my money, Miyazono wasn't given that. It cost them both time and it's cost them potentially both a chance of victory. So maybe a 5-way squabble has been now reduced down to a 3-way squabble. And you can see there that Lexus are now dropping off the back of BMW. Let's have another look.
This was almost comedic timing from the Corvette. What happened here? So there was contact there, and the same thing happened behind. Literally the same thing between Toyota and Chevrolet. And just like that, 4 manufacturers are pretty much out. Toyota given a 3-second penalty, and rightly so. Look at this. Look how close Genesis are now, and Nico Romero. He's within striking distance, and this could have massive ramifications for the championship standings here if Romero can just get by Lexus.
So it could be winner takes all stakes between these top 2. A little bit wide there for Lexus on Savolo too.
Passing Lexus has no effect.
Yeah, if we want to do something we will have to pass BMW, and that's not going to happen.
Yeah, they know that. They've got to throw caution to the wind here, Genesis, haven't they?
Well, they will have no effect on their standings. They've worked that out, so maybe they just stay where they are, but it would have an effect on who wins the series overall. It does seem like that challenge has somewhat faltered, and Lexus there and Harold Volson just not quite able to get any closer to BMW and Callan Roach, but he might not need to as we come on to the last lap of the season for the Manufacturers' Cup here at Spa. BMW lead Lexus, who lead Genesis. If things finish now, Lexus will be your Manufacturers' Cup champions, but there's still one lap of one of the most difficult circuits in the world, Spa-Francorchamps. Can BMW keep Lexus behind, and can Lexus hold on to that Manufacturers' Cup win? Let's find out.
2-second penalty there for Mercedes with Benelli, that incident there for the collision on the last lap. No surprise there at all, but I tell you what, Lexus, they're out of slipstreaming range for BMW. 1.3 seconds. They're not going to get the advantage of the toe here up the Kemmel Straight, and you can see what that would mean, because Lexus would still win it by 1 point. They're going to have the middle sector of their lives as Mazda look for a lunge on the inside of Subaru down into Lake Coombe. Nothing doing for them at the moment. The seas will open though soon, because Benelli with that 2-second penalty will mean that Subaru and Mazda will elevate themselves up to 4th and 5th place here respectively too.
Will that change though the position for Genesis, because Subaru would be tied with points if they move up?
Yeah, there is a good potential for that one. We'll wait and see how it works out. Through the left-hander we go. The final sector of the lap awaits.
We're going to be P3, no matter what. They showed it on the screen.
Yeah, so that's Genesis there saying that they're going to have to settle for P3. Let's have a look at this battle though between 5th and 6th place, because this could decide whether Genesis do finish P3 once this penalty has been served for Mercedes AMG. Mazda having a look to the inside, nothing doing for them here in towards the Fagnes chicane, and the penalty is about to be served here for Lucas Benelli in the Mercedes as they come out of Stavelot.
Yeah, interestingly, whichever of these cars finish ahead of each other will be 4th in the final rankings. They're all tied on 17 points in the finish now. AMG will go behind Subaru and Mazda, serving this penalty. A good charge from Benelli, but unfortunately too little too late. So there goes Miyazono up into P4. There goes Mazda up into P5. So Subaru now tie with Genesis, as do Mazda for 3rd place. Look at that.
Three-way tie and just a couple of corners now remaining. Mazda having a look to the inside here with Subaru, but into the final corner we go with Team BMW. They're going to win the grand final of the Manufacturers' Cup here as they take the checkered flag at Spa-Francorchamps, but across the line will come Team Lexus to win the Manufacturers' Cup by 1 point in 2024. Genesis take 3rd, Subaru take 4th on the road. It's a 3-way tie for 3rd in the overall standings as well. What a season, what a race, what a drive for BMW. They take top honours in the final race of the season, but it's Harold Velson, Koke Lopez, Kanata Kawakami and also Igor Fraga who will be crowned as the 2024 Manufacturers' Cup champions.
Something that I just worked out there, that basically Genesis were gifted 3rd by 0.0072 of a second, because if Mazda had passed Subaru, they would have been on that 3rd place on that podium. That's how close it was for that last step. But as you say, Tom, it's Team Lexus there. 2nd place enough to secure them yet another Manufacturers' Cup Series win. I mean, how do you stop these guys?
Absolutely amazing. That's the 2nd time, as you say, that Lexus have won it, and the clean streak of Japanese manufacturers to win the Manufacturers' Cup continues. Well, BMW gave it as good as they got, didn't they? They really, really tried hard, and it came down to just 1 point at the checkered flag. What a drive from Team Genesis as well. A 2nd podium in a 2nd year in the World Finals. Amazing.
Yeah, I got to say, I mean, my standout for that race was Harold Volson, super sub.
Yeah.
Came out of nowhere, hasn't driven a race all year of his guys, subs in for Igor Fraga, and does exactly what he needs to do. I mean, amazing drive.
Superb stuff. Well, Honda, they'll be wondering what might have been. Started the race on pole position. Let's get the highlights then from that emphatic Manufacturers' Cup Grand Final. Honda lost the position to BMW off of the start. Then Porsche sent their way through on the inside. And unfortunately, that was the beginning of the end, really, for Honda. There was contact with Porsche at the very next corner. And then they ended up plummeting like a stone as the race developed on. BMW and Lexus, meanwhile, cleared off into the distance. We went nearly 4 abreast at one particular point. Here was a move for Ferrari. trying to go late on the brakes and then going straight off into the Ardennes forest, and that cost them more than they would have gained. Meanwhile, Mercedes and Honda got a bit friendly in towards the final corner.
What are you doing, man?
That guy Barbara not very happy with that one. Then the rain began to come down. We saw an early change of tyres for a couple of teams, some going on to the intermediates and the wet tyres, Subaru and Mazda there respectively. But as it came on later, some were on the extreme wet, some were on the intermediate tyres, and, well, it was a game of cat and mouse throughout the majority of it. The upshot is the two constants at the front were Lexus and BMW.
Yeah, I mean, this moment there just shows you how close it was eventually. I say eventually, Coque Lopez got past. It wasn't even here, absolutely lunging in. On that early stage, on those wet conditions, Coque Lopez and that Lexus were incredibly quick, but couldn't quite make the pass here. Mosso there for Porsche, making that mistake, and it meant this to him.
No.
Real shame there for Porsche and Mosso, but mistakes happen. Unfortunately here, they cost you dearly. So here was Sasaki for Team Genesis getting closer and closer to Corvettes. Really fast with Sasaki.
I think it's the right.
No, we're going on more. Honda has a penalty. We have the buffer.
Yeah, and that's a strategy, isn't it, that came into play in the closing stages of that race. The wet runners were sort of forced their hand, really. They had to run slower pace because they couldn't afford to change to the intermediate tyres as the track dried out, so they had to wait until they could go onto the dry tyres. And the upshot is that a lot of intermediate runners caught up, including Genesis, and we thought they may have had a chance of victory in the closing stages of the race as the top two.
No more talking. I know what to do, though.
That's Callum Roach there, who wanted a nice bit of quiet to try and claim the crown away from Lexus. BMW would be crowned as the winners of the Manufacturers' Cup here at Spa-Francorchamps, but it is a second crown for Team Lexus as they become Manufacturers' Cup champions of 2024. What a season it has been for that team. And the joy as well. Let's go down and chat to our winners with Jules then.
I'm here with the winners, Team Lexus. Well, first of all, strategy played a huge role in that. How important was it to kind of be flexible in the moment? Because that weather was changing every second.
It's difficult to say, but I think the fastest was the intermediate for the rain. But we decided to do the same like BMW because they were very fast. We also knew that even if intermediate were faster, we wanted to have the position on track and be always ahead to not get in trouble. So we decided to go for that, and then I had a strong fight with Tom, which I'm really sorry for because my objective was to go faster and I had a really good pace, but as soon as I saw that I couldn't put a gap, I let him pass and try to just have a good pace together.
Yeah, well, you did a make.
And then, of course, Harald in the last stint, he did perfect because it was so easy to lose the car in any wet patch, and he did perfect to be so focused even in the situation that we were.
Yeah, and Harold, of course, you know, you had to come in for Igor. That's a lot of pressure. Everyone kind of knows him, but you seem to keep your cool. How did you manage it?
Thanks to this guy.
How did I go?
Thanks to this guy. He was a really big guy. Thanks to that, I saw the positions. He was talking to me in the radio. And yeah, I just had to keep going forward, keep close to BMW. And it's just what I had to do.
And finally, I mean, how has it been working with your teammates? Are you proud of them, of all the hard work they've put in?
ここにいるメンバーの他にもイゴールが今回、スーパー GT で来れなくなってしまったんですけども、イゴールがいなければおそらくこのワールドシリーズの舞台にも来れてなかったですし、ラウンド1でポイントを取ってくれたことで今のポジションがあると思うので、本当に今日の2人プラスイゴール4人のチームに本当に感謝しています。
It's been an honor to have raced with these guys for the entire year. I'm really happy about the results, and without Igor though, without his support, obviously, I don't think we would have been here. With the points that he got for us, that's what led us here. So I'm really thankful to all four of us being together in this team.
Yeah, and you did amazingly well. Let's give it up for our Manufacturers' Cup winners, Team Lexus!
results. Looking forward to seeing what is going to happen on the podium in a few minutes' time. But here are the results from the grand final. Then confirmation: BMW take the checkered flag and the maximum 24 points. Lexus, though, second place for them. That just goes to show how impressive their season was. They didn't have to finish on the top set of the podium here tonight to be crowned as two-time champions.
Yeah, and Team Genesis, of course, with third. But here are the final points rankings. And look how close it was for third place. 4 teams on 19 points, and Lexus beating BMW by only 1 point, and it all came down to the last race. So amazing stuff.
Yeah, really was spectacular. Given the fact that BMW didn't exactly start the season off in the particularly brilliant way by not scoring any points, there just goes to show that consistency is what makes champions. Don't forget about the Michelin driver of the day as well. Is it Jose Serrano for you? Is it Thomas Laboutelet? Or is it Koke Lopez? Vote on the stream below, and then you, of course, will find out in the press conference, which is coming up straight after we have concluded things here tonight in the Manufacturers' Cup broadcast. So stick around for that, and also if you've got any questions for that matter that you want to ask them in the chat below, and if you're lucky, we might be able to read out a couple as well. So this is Amsterdam, and this is, of course, the venue for our World Finals. Great to see so many fans here this weekend. They have been absolutely loving things, as we have here as well. I'll tell you what, I'm out of breath after that one, Jimmy, to be honest with you. That was frantic right up to the end.
All you got to do is just get the sprinklers on every time. just make it rain out there, and it's just amazing to view. But I can't believe how close third was. Literally anything that happened there in that last lap, and then somehow we had 14 finish on 19 points. But Genesis, of course, being the top in the grand final, get that position. But yeah, I think well deserved for Team Lexus. They've been strong all season. I just can't say enough good things about Harold Volson. I really can't. I'm really impressed with that, honestly. To come into one of these events, not really as the outsider, but as like the guest driver, almost filling in for someone like Igor Fraga, who, if you watch this series, you'll know, massive gamer here. Player, I guess. What do you say? Competitor. There you go. Just his list of achievements are far too long. To come in there and have that performance, it's supreme. Fantastic job by Harold Volson.
Well, let's get the podium celebrations then underway here in Amsterdam, the grand final of the Manufacturers' Cup. Let's award our top 3 finishers. Please welcome in third place, Nicholas Romero, Dean Helt, and Yuito Sasaki from Team Genesis. Second place in the Manufacturers' Cup, Callan Roach, Thomas Laboutelet for Team BMW. And first place, please welcome onto the stage Harold Volson, Koke Lopez and Kanata Kawakami for Team Lexus. And now, ladies and gentlemen, please be upstanding if you're able for the national anthem of our winning manufacturer, Team Lexus. The national anthem of Japan plays out for our winning manufacturer, Team Lexus, here in Amsterdam, the venue of our World Finals for the GT World Series. And the Manufacturers' Cup trophies now about to be awarded to our top 3 finishing teams as well here tonight. Third place, Managing Director of Sports Hotel Matthias Verm will be the dignitary, and it will be awarded to Team Genesis. The drivers are Nico Romero, Dean Helt, and Yuito Sasaki. Matthias now making his way over to present the medals to Genesis. First of all to Nico Romero. Then makes his way over to Kanata Kawakami. To Yuito Sasaki, I beg your pardon. And then finally to Dean Helt as well. Team Genesis, third place in the Manufacturers' Cup in 2024. Second place dignitary is the Motorsport Marketing Director of Michelin, Nora Vass. And second place, of course, in the Manufacturers' Cup in 2024. Callum Roach, Thomas Lamoutelet and Saya Suzuki for Team BMW. And now the second place medals to be awarded to Team BMW. Superb driving from all three of them. From Thomas Lamoutelet, from Callum Roach and from Saya Suzuki. As they hold their second place medals aloft here in Amsterdam. Another round of applause for Team BMW, second in the Manufacturers' Cup in 2024. And the first place medals to be awarded by the Chief Marketing Officer of Fanatec, Belman Adarevich. She makes her way down onto the stage to congratulate our top three teams here in Amsterdam. And of course, it is awarded to Harold Valsen, to Koke Lopez and to Kanata Kawakami, the Manufacturers' Cup champions of the 2024 season. Please give it your all for Team Lexus! And finally, the first place trophy awarded to the winning manufacturer, presented by Gran Turismo series producer Kazunori Yamauchi. He makes his way onto the stage here in Amsterdam, and he will hold the trophy and hand it over to Harold Valsen, to Koke Lopez, to Kanata Kawakami, Manufacturers' Cup champions, Team Lexus!
That big trophy yet again, muscle special.
Yeah, double Manufacturers' Cup champions now are Team Lexus. And Kanata Kawakami, I was just looking through some notes, he won it back in 2018 as well. So he's the double champion also. Don't forget, of course, it's not the end of racing here this weekend. Tomorrow, we've got the Nations Cup coming up for you. Have a look at this, see what it's all about.
Action is about to begin. World Series is underway. It's a drag to the line. Fantastic. We're coming towards the final series of corners. Wow, what a dramatic end to the Nations Cup.
Wow, that was some amazing racing there. Incredible stuff. I know that we were going on about like double points and anyone could win it, and then it came down to 1 point. We are rubbish at guessing this.
Yeah, I mean, we need to revisit that point system, don't we? But yeah, amazing for Lexus. Yeah, 1 point at the end, and then it was 4 teams on 19 points for third. Ridiculous.
Doesn't get much closer than that, and the GT... Thanks, Kaz. The GT World Series just doesn't get any better than that, does it? It was phenomenal, you know, start to finish, and who'd have thought it as well, you know, BMW just sort of creeping their way up there. We always say consistency makes champions, and that goes to show, doesn't it? The consistency of all of the manufacturers here this weekend has been amazing.
It's been some pretty spectacular racing. But, you know, that is not, you know, all of the racing that we have this weekend. Of course, tomorrow we're going to be having the Nations Cup, so we're going to see a lot of these faces back, you know, for pride, for national pride, trying to get a full English.
Well, Nations Cup's a fist fight, isn't it? So.
Wow.
And the thing is, well, last year it was a team competition, back to an individual driver competition for this one. The gloves are quite literally going to come off on it. I can't wait for that.
It's going to be great. Honestly, it's the culmination of a lot of work that these drivers have put in. It's been some amazing racing today. Don't forget to stick around for the extra lap, as we're going to be finding out some secrets, I bet, Tom.
I hope so.
I do. All right, we'll see you in a bit. Bye.
First.
PlayStation.
Por 0-0 con Porsche.
And the team immediately comes to congratulate him, Matteo Estevez and Troy Matani, the drivers who are competing with him.
No, we're going on more. Honda has a penalty. We have the buffer.
No more talking. I know what to do though.
Wow! It's like being on the supermarket, this. Like, just like...
What are you doing, man? No. I think it's the right.
No, we're going on more. Honda has a penalty. We have the buffer.
No more talking. I know what to do though.
What are you doing, man?
No, 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 no.
I think it's the right. It's the right.
No, we're going on more. Honda has a penalty. We have the buffer.
No more talking. I know what to do though.
What are you doing, man?
Ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening. Welcome back to Amsterdam for the Gran Turismo World Series World Finals. The Manufacturers' Cup event has just taken place here this evening, and we have our top three finishers. In reverse order from Genesis, please give a round of applause for Dean Helt, for Nico Romero, and for Yuito Sasaki. In second place from Team BMW, Callum Roach, Thomas Laboutelet, and Saya Suzuki. And the 2024 Manufacturers' Cup champions, Harold Valson, Koke Lopez, and Kanata Kawakami for Team Lexus. Team Lexus will come to you first of all, to Harold Valson, to Koke Lopez, and to Kanata Kawakami. Amazing job from all three of you drivers. A very, very challenging race. And now Lexus are double Manufacturers' Cup champions. How does it feel? We'll go to yourself, Koke, first. Yeah, sure.
It feels amazing, especially because Lexus was the first ever Manufacturer Cup champion back in 2018. Also, in the case of Igor and me, we are the first ever world champion in manufacturer with two different brands, which is amazing. And of course, I want to thank these guys because we did an amazing performance today. And also Igor, because even if we lost the race against BMW, who were very, very strong today, we could still win the championship because of the 6 points that Igor got in the first round. So this is also for Igor.
Okay, sorry, I beg your pardon. Thank you so much. Let's go to Kanata. Kanata, obviously, at the World Series events this year, we've had drivers from different teams, but it's been on an individual basis. For the event here, we've had a team with 3 drivers. How did that change the dynamic? How did you approach it as a unit, as a team for this event?
ワールドシ シリーズのイベントで個人戦からチーム戦になってこうやって入れ替わったんですけど今回こうやってまたチームで戦ってどういった感触でしたかレースは。
やっぱりチームで戦うってことは誰がどこを走るとか誰がどのタイヤでどの天候を走るってところを事前にこう出発する前にみんなでいろいろ試して作戦を練って当日に来てもどのタイミングでタイヤを交換するとかそういったコミュニケーションを取りながら作戦を立てて、みんなが得意なところ苦手なところをこう補ってサポートし合って今日戦えたってことが非常にチーム戦のいいところが出たのかなと思ってます。
Yeah, so when you race as a team, you have to figure out who's going to drive where, what timing we're going to be on the track, what conditions we're going to be driving at. We have to really communicate the strategy between each other to really figure out, who's the strongest driver in each of those conditions, and make sure that we have the best, driver lineup for everything that faces us on the track. And I think today's result is a result of having that great support between the drivers, really coming together to do the job right.
Kanata, thank you very much. And to Harold. Harold, amazing job from you. Super sub last minute in the Lexus, and you managed to help the team bring it home. How do you feel on a personal level to have jumped in the car at the last minute, and what does it mean for you to be part of the winning team for the Manufacturers' Cup?
It feels amazing. It was just an amazing team. So of course, and also replacing none other than Igor Fraga. So I feel a bit pressured, but I was glad that in the practice with the team, I was able to keep going up and up in pace and keep with them. So I'm glad that I was able to help them to get the result today.
Well, thank you very much indeed, Harold. Many congratulations. A round of applause once again for Harold Valson, Takoke Lopez, Kanata Kawakami for Team Lexus. And now we'll move over to Team BMW, to Callum Roach, to Thomas Laboutelet and to Saya Suzuki. Callum, we'll come to you first of all. You were the driver in the hot seat at the end of that race. There was a lot of pressure on your shoulders. BMW took the victory, second overall in the standings. How do you feel and how do you reflect on that race?
Honestly, it's wonderful just to get a win, but to miss out on the championship by 1 point is devastating. So I'm not really entirely sure on how I should feel right now, but I feel obviously proud that we were able to bring a victory as a team, especially at the World Finals. But just to come up 1 point short to Lexus is making me feel very, I guess, complicated.
Right, well, Callum, thank you very much indeed. We'll go over to Saya. Saya, the mixed weather conditions during that race were incredible. There were drivers some going on to intermediates, some going on to wet tyres. How did you see that race unfolding, from a driver's perspective, and then also, from a team perspective when you weren't in the car?
今回のレース本当に天候がどんどん変わっていって一部のチームはインターミディエットで一部のチームはウェットでってもう全然戦略がバラバラに行きましたけどそのレースの展開個人のドライバーとしてまたはチームとしてどういうふうに感じながら走っていましたか。
そうですね、次のスティントに向けて私に関してはどれだけマージン作れて、次のドライバーが楽に、スティントをこなすことができるかというのを考えていましてで私実際には、第1スティントでマージン築くことができましてで第2のトーマスさんに、バトンを渡すことができましたのでそういった中だと、アドバンテージを味方に、任せるということができたのは良かったところだと思います。
Yeah, so I was really just focused on making a good amount of margins to make the job easy for the next driver, and I was able to actually do that in the first stint and really hand over the baton to Thomas in a good place, and which gave us an advantage. So I'm glad, I'm just glad that turned out okay.
Thank you very much indeed, Saya. And Thomas, that middle stint of the race was crazy from the commentary box. What was it like in the driving seat?
Well, first of all, I was very surprised of the rhythm of Lexus behind, but in the end, I didn't change the way I drove in the rain. But as soon as there was a battle with Lexus, it was very intense. But I didn't really have much experience battling in the wet because we were all focused on our own line. So yeah, it was a bit at the same time experimenting, and yeah, it was just very enjoyable to fight with Koke.
Wonderful. Thomas, thank you very much. A round of applause, please, for Callum Rhodes, Thomas Labusle, Sai Suzuki for Team BMW. And finally, we move over to Team Genesis, to Dean Helt, to Nico Romero, and to Yuito Sasaki. Yuito, we'll come to yourself first of all. Genesis on the podium again in the Manufacturers' Cup. What does it mean for yourselves? Because there were, I think 3 or 4 teams all tied on points at the end of that race for third. It was incredible.
ジェネシスこうやってマニファクチャーシリーズ表彰台に立つことができましたけど、今回本当に接戦で3位同点のチームがいっぱいいましたよね。その中で優勝を勝ち取れたことどう思われますか？
はい、とても嬉しくてですね、やっぱりすごいなんか接戦の中で自分もなんかゴールした時3位だったのか4位だったのかよく分からなかったんで。3位って聞いてすごいホッとしました。
Yeah, I'm very happy with the result because I knew it was such a close race, and when I crossed the finish line, I didn't know if I was in 3rd or 4th. When I finally heard that the result is 3rd place, I was really happy to hear that.
So Yuito, many congratulations. And let's move over to Dean as well. Dean, I mean, the start of that race was crazy. I mean, again, we were watching it from the commentary box and we didn't know where to look. What was it like from your perspective? And how did that play a part in how you adapted your strategy as a team?
Well, we knew after qualifying that there was going to be we were going to need to push really hard in the first stint and we were going to need to be aggressive. I think I did a pretty good job of showing the aggressive part. But we knew that we needed track position. Track position was going to be key, especially if we were going to make the wets work. We needed that buffer to have that space at the end of the stint to where even if those on intermediates caught up, we could at least try to hold them up in a straight line and try to keep them behind in the corners. So I think we played the strategy absolutely perfectly. I don't think we could have done a single thing better. Yeah, I think we got the max out of today, and also thank you to the directors for listening to our team radio the whole race. That was very good. I will enjoy watching that back for sure.
It was great from the commentary box as well. Many congratulations, Dean. And Nico, let's finally move to you. That final stint, I mean, again, we were really tense in the commentary box watching what was happening. What was it like having to, soak up the pressure as a team for that, knowing what was riding on it?
So I remember going out of the pitch and I told Dian on the radio, we have never been closer to winning the world title than we were with 4 or 5 laps to go. But then we were thinking about what the standings were, and there was a point, I believe lap 18, that Subaru and Mercedes had a battle and they both went off. And at that point I thought to myself, I can calm down. The only way that the result is going to change is if I overtook BMW, and that was not going to happen. So I was very slow on the last lap, and at the end, I believe by 0.07, if Mazda had overtaken Subaru, we would have been in P4 instead of P3.
Yeah, incredibly fine margins, Nico. Many, many congratulations to yourself. Please give a round of applause to Dean Helt, to Nico Romero, to Yuito Sasaki for Team Genesis. And of course, we do have the Michelin Driver of the Day to announce as well, and I can reveal that the Michelin Driver of the Day of the Manufacturers' Cup is awarded to Koke Lopez. Please be upstanding, Koke, for the awards to be presented. Wonderful, many congratulations, Koke. We've got some questions from the audience that have come in as well. One question to each of the teams. This question comes from Anku, and it's, I'll get one of your drivers to answer respectively. It says, how many times did your team practice together for the Manufacturers' Cup Grand Final? Any one of your team, just one driver is fine.
We practice all the time good. We practice dry, we practice wet, we practice almost dry, almost wet, 3 tires. We practice everything literally to try to have everything under control here, because I think this is the most important. Even if we probably weren't the fastest guys, we knew we didn't really have to risk because finishing second, it was enough in the case that BMW won. But yeah, of course they did amazing, so we just pretended to be behind, and yeah, I think I'm very grateful for this, but I think they both deserve it the same or more than me, and thanks to everybody for the support.
Okay, thank you very much. Team BMW, how many times did you practice together as a team for the event?
Quite a bit leading up to the event. So we pretty much practiced everything from hards, mediums, soft. rain, drying line, and just kind of focus on, each individual stint, just, as a team. So I ended up getting the stint that I practiced the most, and I think my teammates did as well. So that maybe could be the case why we won, or just, lucky guess on our part. But yeah, a lot of effort went into this, and it's a great feeling to win.
Callum, thank you very much. And finally, Team Genesis as well. How many times did you practice together as a team for the event?
First of all, I have to give a massive shout out to...
Sorry, try and get your microphone working there. Hey, well, let's run another one over to you. That one will work. There we go.
So what I was saying, first of all, I have to give a massive shout out to Yuito, because due to the time difference, he was waking up at 6 a.m. to have some time to practice with others. And that's something that I really appreciated from him. But yeah, we had to practice everything to know who was the best on each condition. And at the end, we had everything pretty clear coming to the event. And as it seems like it has worked out.
Perfect. Harold, thank you. To Nico very much. My next question is to Harold Velsen. Harold, a question for you that has come in from Henry. It says, what came to mind first when you were confirmed that you were stepping in for Igor Fraga at Team Lexus for the World Finals?
What's the question, excuse me?
What was the first thing that came to mind for you when you were confirmed to be taking Igor's place here this weekend?
First thing, well, at first I was kind of glad that I got to come here again. It was a tough online season for me, so for that, and I was kind of glad because of it. But at the same time, there was the pressure of practicing again a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So I was glad that with my team I was able to practice. They teach me everything that I did here. So I'm glad that we got the result that we got.
Another question for you, Harold, as well, from And So It Was, is how long did you actually have to prepare for the event? How much time?
Excuse me?
How much time did you have to prepare for the event?
Every time that we were the three available. So of course I had some time on my own, but I got the most improvement when it was the three of us.
Wonderful. Harold, thank you very much. Another question coming through for Team Lexus from Yeo Automotive. And it's a question for all three of you drivers, actually. It says, how did you find out about and start playing Gran Turismo? What are your individual stories? Harold, as you've got the microphone, we'll start with you. How did your Gran Turismo journey begin?
Like in the whole series?
Yeah. How did you come about it?
I got into it thanks to my father. Like, he bought me my first PlayStation, and I got into Gran Turismo 2. And I've been playing ever since.
Wonderful. Harold, thank you very much. Kanata, how did your journey with Gran Turismo begin?
どこからどういうふうな経歴でグランツーリズムを遊び始めたんでしょうか。一番最初の頃は。
自分が最初始めたのはおそらく5歳かそれぐらいの小さい頃から始めていて、きっかけは親がグランツーリズムをやっていたところから自分は一緒に遊ぶようになって、それから新しいシリーズが出てからずっとやって、今ここに来てるというところで、親の影響が大きかったのかなと思います。
So I was about 5 years old when I first started playing the game, and it was because my parents played, and through it went, and I started at 5, and every time a new series title came out, I kept playing, and that's how I ended up here.
Kanata, thank you very much. And Koke, what about you? How did your journey with Gran Turismo begin?
At first I was doing motorbike races since I was like 5 years old in pocket bikes. So then I started to like the racing games, overall, bikes, cars, everything. But at 13 I had to stop, unfortunately, because of money and some more things. So I decided to try to find the same feeling somewhere else. And I think Gran Turismo really gave it to me. And at 13 years old I was already starting to do some like professional races, let's say. And this really gives me the same feeling, or even better than racing in real, because in the end you have to manage everything. So I'm glad that I found out about Gran Turismo.
Okay, thank you very much. One final question that's come through from Japan to 23. It goes to Team BMW. You can just select one driver to answer this. And it says, did you ever think about trying to slow Lexus down in the closing stages of the race?
Well, we were thinking about it, for sure. Because we knew also that Genesis was fast in the straights and something could happen for us to get P1 in the standings. But at the end of the day, it's a bit risky still. We wanted to get P1 first of all in the race, and I don't know what Kalen thought at the moment, but I think we still made the right choice to not risk it. I don't know if you want to add.
Yeah, I'll add to that a little bit. I just kind of had shades of like Hamilton and Rosberg in Abu Dhabi. So just with that in the back of my mind, I honestly just kind of want to stay away from it and just focus on winning the race myself, and then just anything else that happened besides that would just be out of my control. So just kind of left it up to fate, and ultimately it didn't swing our way. So sometimes that's just how it is.
Wonderful. Callum, thank you very much indeed for that. Just one more question, actually, that has just come in from Sky Pickman, who says, please tell Kawakami his teammates from 2018 are proud and very happy for him.
川上選手に、はい、2018年のチームメイトがみんな川上選手を誇りに思っていますと伝えてくださいと言ってました。
Thank you very much, teammates. Thank you.
Wonderful. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause to third place Team Genesis, to second place for Team BMW, and to the 2024 Manufacturers' Cup champions Team Lexus. That does bring an end to the Manufacturers' Cup for the GT World Series, for the World Finals here in Amsterdam, but that's not the end of the action. We will go again tomorrow. The Nations Cup World Champion is to be crowned here in Amsterdam. Make sure you join us. Thanks so much, and we'll see you then.
it.